At East Lansing, Michigan, it's a beautiful day. The Fighting Illini of the University of Illinois 1-1 on the year against the Michigan State Spartans 2-0. And both teams have finished their non-conference schedules. It's only Big Ten opposition from here on out, the first of 9 such games for each school. I'm Al Michaels on a beautiful day where they expect a capacity crowd. Of course, Michigan State's coming off a tremendous upset over Notre Dame. And the Illini of the University of Illinois with a resurgent football program. It was 19 years between bowl appearances for Illinois. They went to the Rose Bowl in 1964. Then they went to the Liberty Bowl last year, and a lot of the credit has to go to Mike White. He's developed some great quarterbacks at Illinois since he took over there in 1980. He brought Dave Wilson in from California in 1980, and of course Tony Eason had 2 sensational years. But now he's looking for a different sort of attack in the 1983 season, and I talked to White yesterday.
Well, you know, you have to develop a personality when you're coaching an offense, and this year we're striving for balance. First of all, our better players are our running backs, and also if you can achieve balance when you get in the real close football games, you're going to be ready for any eventuality. We've been too pass-oriented, and frankly, it's come back to haunt us in some real critical football games.
As far as Michigan State is concerned, of course, that's really heady stuff when you have a lot of problems as they have had, and all of a sudden you turn it around and you beat Notre Dame. They began their season with a victory here against Colorado, then the shocking, stunning upset last week. Nobody figured it would happen, but it did. Michigan State winning by 5. George Perles has taken over as the head coach at Michigan State. He was Chuck Noll's top assistant for a number of years, and of course he's just in 7th heaven right now. He doesn't want to come down off the cloud. And of course the Michigan State-Notre Dame rivalry has been a tremendous one. 2 modern-day coaching legends were involved. Ara Parseghian of Notre Dame and Duffy Daugherty pacing the sidelines for Michigan State. On the first play of the 4th quarter, Joe Azzaro of Notre Dame kicked a field goal to tie the game 10-10. That's the way it wound up in 1966. Last week, the 2 teams in South Bend, Indiana. Notre Dame was on top 7-0 in the first quarter when Dave Urema went back to pass with good protection, found Darrell Turner over the middle, splitting the defense, going all the way in for a touchdown to tie the game 7-7. The Irish went back on top 14-7. Then in the second period, it was running back Carl Butler taking it in from 34 yards to tie the game at 14. Then, in the 4th period, with the scores tied 21-all, Blair Keel had this pass intercepted by Phil Parker. He ran it back all the way to the 3-yard line. And a couple of plays later, it was Urema going back again, looking into the corner of the end zone. Double coverage against Butch Roll, but he was able to make the catch, scored the touchdown. Michigan State wins it by 5, and head coach George Perles reflects upon the victory.
Well, our players and our fans and our school is very happy. It means a lot to our school. We've lost to Notre Dame for 7 years in a row, and it's very important for our people to believe in our program, and the only way they're going to believe if we have some success. That was a start. It isn't the final product by any means, but it's a start in the right direction, and we're very happy with the victory. But right now, it's Notre Dame's gone, and we're worried about Illinois.
Should be a good one, a most interesting matchup. It is rated just about a toss-up. In some circles, Michigan State is a very slight favorite. So the Spartans of Michigan State, who've already won as many games as they won all of last season when they were 2-9, against the Fighting Illini, who have squared their mark, a record of 1-1 coming in. That's the game in your region. We'll rejoin college football today in a moment after this message and a word from your local station.
One of its biggest victories in recent years, a Superdome win over Florida State, produced largely by the efforts of the school's first-year head coach, Wally English, and his son, John, the starting quarterback. But John English is playing under a state court order that blocks the NCAA from enforcing its rule requiring transfer students to sit out a year. It's a case with serious implications for the NCAA, and most especially for Tulane. When John English left Iowa State to join Wally English at Tulane, Tulane supported his petition for eligibility. A reading of the NCAA bylaw which governs transfers had given John the hope he'd be able to play his 5th and last available college season for his father. But in August, the NCAA's highest court said no. By transferring, he had sacrificed his last chance to play. The university dropped its support, and John went to his last resort. He sued the NCAA, Tulane, and by association, his own father. And before the team's first game, a Louisiana court issued an order saying that the NCAA and Tulane couldn't bar John from the playing field before his case could be heard in court. There's no shortage of controversial rules in the NCAA's enforcement code, but the transfer eligibility rule has never aroused much of an argument, least of all from a school like Tulane. The rule serves a useful purpose in discouraging recruiters from pirating discontented athletes away from other campuses. And athletes do transfer, just as other students do. The problem is that no one ever envisioned somebody transferring as many times as John English did. Tulane is John's fifth college, his third four-year school. Before now, he'd never been the starting quarterback in an offense that suits him. Bylaw 51K1 of the NCAA manual was intended to make all transfers sit out a full year, but its language seems to leave John a loophole. Eligibility requires a full year since departure from, quote, the first four-year college. And John English's first four-year college wasn't Iowa State in 1982. It was Michigan State in 1979. In this case, one co-defendant agrees that the plaintiff has an arguable point.
A literal, technical, strict reading of the rule does present an arguable case for John, I think. And that's why we supported him through the NCAA administrative process.
I think that all John has done is abide by what the NC2A wrote in their handbook. He took that verbatim, proceeded with it, and did everything they asked him to do. And then at the end of doing all that, they said he was ineligible. So, in my opinion, that was maybe a little bit unfair in this case.
You know, I think there are some real questions about athletes' rights and options. Like, if you're employed by ABC, if you're not happy there, you can leave without any sanctions at all being imposed against you. I think that there should be a rule about maybe schools going down and recruiting players off of other campuses. But if an athlete is tied in to a position and is not happy with that position, shouldn't he have a right also to leave and go and try to do something else without being penalized, to try to better his athletic career?
Certainly the coach's son is guilty of no crime worse than using the higher education system to prepare himself for pro football. And even the university president can buy that.
Some of our student athletes will go on to other careers. Some will go on to professional football. Each individual case is different, and each has to be handled in a professional and proper manner. And I think we've done that in this case.
Still, the school broke ranks with John once the NCAA had its say. Athletic director Heineman Wall orchestrated the shift.
Well, I would state to you, frankly, what I've stated to nearly everyone concerning it. I think it's pretty clear that the intent of the rule in the past, as I have always interpreted it, that a kid in this particular circumstance would not have been eligible within the NCAA. But there was this one wording of first institution that was the basis in which we appealed this case to the NCAA. We're a member of the NCAA, which is a voluntary organization, and we abide by their rules and regulations. And we used every due course that they have to pursue it. Once it was ruled ineligible, that we accept that.
There's more to it than that. Both Wall and his coach are well aware of the damage the NCAA can do if John loses in court.
If you continue with this, there's a possibility that all the games that you win will be taken away from you. All the monies that you could garner from television revenues could be taken away. And if you get in a bowl game, the bowl revenues could be taken away. And certainly there has to be pressures in the community to say, wait a minute, is one football player worth this? And as the coach, you would like to have the very best quarterback you can have playing for you. As a father, you would like to see your son play. But as a school employee, also you're aware of those pressures.
Coach, your team will play this weekend on CBS television, an appearance for which the school will receive $340,000. And that's $340,000 that Tulane could lose if John loses in court. Have you considered not playing him?
No.
Why not?
Well, I think that the games that we won to get us into this circumstance were won with John English playing quarterback. And obviously, had we not won the games, we wouldn't be in that position now. And as the coach, in my opinion, and in the staff's opinion, we have to play the very best players who are available to us. And we feel at this time that John is our best quarterback.
The NCAA's power to strip revenue and demand forfeitures from the school stems from Article 10 of its bylaws. Precedent tells us that those sanctions will be exercised in this case, despite the fact Tulane is operating under a court order. Precedent also indicates that John English is a long shot in court when his trial begins. It's now scheduled for Monday of next week. NCAA lawyers demonstrated to me yesterday that in previous similar cases, they've had little trouble defending the NCAA's right to interpret its own rules in its own way. So when John English takes the field against Kentucky today, there's a strong possibility his presence will be costing Tulane both its $340,000 appearance check and the chance to mark down a victory in the record book. And now for the perhaps more salient issue of who wins and who loses in other games, here's our own Beano Cook.
Well, Jim, first, Pitt plays Maryland. Pitt is 2-0. Maryland lost last week to West Virginia in a mild upset. Pitt has lost 6 games in the last 4 years, and 3 of them being on natural turf. I look for Maryland to win in a small upset, and I also look for Tennessee to beat Auburn. This is a key game for Auburn because Auburn prepared 9 months for Texas and then lost. The loser of this game is going to have a long season.
All right, Beano, there's a lot of excitement up in Chestnut Hill above Boston Harbor today, too.
Well, Jack, those Boston College alumni are great alumni. Back in 1939 and 1940, Frank Leahy coached at Boston College, won 20 games and lost 2, a perfect season in 1940. It was at Boston College that Frank Leahy proved he was a great coach, the same way that Ira Parsegian proved he was a great coach when he won at Northwestern. Another reason I'm picking Boston College, a very unusual reason. Everybody always picks on Sports Illustrated, and Doug Flutie is on the cover of Sports Illustrated. Now, the jinx started back in 1957 when Sports Illustrated put Oklahoma on the cover, and then they lost to Notre Dame. But I said, heck with the jinx. Sports Illustrated is going to prove right this week. Number 2 is you have to love Doug Flutie. Nobody wears number 22. Doug Flutie wears number 22. Joe Namath would never wear 22. He would want a raise. And the only reason John Elway would have a 22 if it said 22 million. So I look for West Virginia to lose to Boston College in a great game, 34-28.
So you've got to love Doug Flutie, and you've got to love Beano Cook, too.
What you did last week.
We want to let you know that the America's Cup appears to be headed toward a 12:35 to 12:45 start, somewhere in that area. So we'll be keeping you up to date on that, and we'll have the beginning of our college football games for today after this.
The weather's terrific. Temperature around 60 degrees after a very chilly night. Clear skies. Should be a good one. Rated just about a toss-up. The Fighting Illini of the University of Illinois and the Spartans of Michigan State will get it underway right after this from your local stations. ABC Sports presents NCAA College Football. Today, it's the Fighting Illini of the University of Illinois against the Spartans of Michigan State from East Lansing, Michigan. The quarterback for the Illini this year, Jack Trudeau, who takes over for the departed Tony Eason, a first-round draft choice of New England. Trudeau has led the Illini to a 1-1 mark in the early season, and his favorite receiver has been number 1, David Williams, who caught 9 passes last week in the Illini win over the Stanford Cardinals. And for Michigan State, it's sophomore quarterback Dave Urema at the helm. He's completed 65% of his passes in the Spartans' first 2 games. Last week, he linked up with number 38, Darrell Turner, for 2 touchdown passes in the stunning upset of Notre Dame. Spartan Stadium, East Lansing, Michigan. Beautiful weather. Packed house, capacity 76,000. The roar going up. Here come the Spartans. They are being welcomed home after a tremendous victory. One of the biggest in the history of the school. Last week, they beat the Fighting Irish, and they did it in South Bend. So the Spartans come out onto the field. The Illini are already there, having flown up from Champaign yesterday, a mark of 1-1. A loser at Columbia to Missouri, and then a winner last week in Champaign. They beat Stanford. Al Michaels in East Lansing, joined now by Lee Groscup, who's been analyzing games at ABC since 1967. George Perlis has taken over. He, of course, was the man who was noted for building that steel curtain defense in Pittsburgh under Chuck Noll. Will Michigan State under Perlis be a defensively oriented team?
Well, George Perlis feels that you win essentially with defense and the kicking game, so he has at least two reasons to smile. He's got Carl Banks, who they think is the best linebacker they have had since the great George Webster. That goes back all the way to 1966. The pro scouts are projecting him as a possible #1 draft choice. And in Ralph Mojenko, they have perhaps the best dual kicker in the country, 49.5 yards average as a punter, and he has been perfect this year on placements, and George Perlis feels that he could be the key man for him today.
Now, Mike White, we heard him say in the pregame show he wants a more balanced offense. They've been pass crazy over the past 3 years. Why the change?
Well, I think because of the fact that Mike White has touched the lives of so many great quarterbacks that we tend to think of him as being pass crazy. But if you think back, Mike White has always believed in the concept of balanced football. And I think with a new quarterback in Jack Trudeau, that's going to be doubly important. So Dwight Beverly is going to be a very important factor for the Illini today.
Tough game to figure. Should be very close. Rated just about a toss-up. Full house looking on Spartan Stadium, East Lansing. The Illini taking on Michigan State. We'll be right back.
This ABC Sports exclusive is sponsored by Chevrolet. America is on the move, and Chevrolet is supplying the wheels. Chevrolet and you taking charge. By Owens Corning, makers of pink fiberglass attic blanket insulation. By ERA Real Estate, we're selling houses. And by American Airlines, doing what we do best.
The Spartans of Michigan State are ready to receive the opening kickoff. Chris White, who is the coach's son. Mike's 18-year-old sophomore son will kick off for the Illini. He is their place kicker, and he's 2 out of 6 in field goal attempts. The middleman back for Michigan State is Larry Jackson, a wide receiver from La Mirada, California, who's flanked by Dean Altobelli and Bobby Morris. White kicking with a pretty stiff breeze at his back, and he takes advantage of it by kicking it through the end zone. And the Spartans will begin at the 20-yard line. Taking a look at Michigan State offensively, a team that scored 28 last week. Dave Urema, the sophomore quarterback. He is only 18. Morris is a freshman whose father played at Notre Dame. Carl Butler had a touchdown run last week from 34. The receivers are John Hurt and the big man, Darrell Turner, who scored 2 touchdowns against the Irish in South Bend. So Michigan State working into a breeze blowing out of the south at about 15 to 20 miles per hour. 1st and 10 from the 20-yard line. Carl Butler is the sole back in this set. And it's Butler to the right side, the strong side, and he works his way out to the 25-yard line. Now the men up front for Michigan State, who will be leading the way. Scott Auer is the left tackle out of Indiana. Randy Lark might be their best offensive lineman. The center from Trenton, Michigan is Mark Napolitan. John Wojciechowski is the right guard. Jim Bob Lamb sounds like a fellow who should be playing for Alabama. And Butch Roll caught the winning touchdown pass last week at South Bend. On 2nd down and 6, it's Morse skirting to the outside, and he fights his way out to the 29-yard line. It'll be 3rd down and short yardage coming up. Up front, they are all seniors in the defensive line. Johnson, Thorpe, Butkus, and Cole. The linebackers are good. Carter, Brady, and Bias. And in the defensive backfield, Heaven and Swope, and that's the way it's pronounced. Craig Swope at the corners are the key men. Ayers scored a touchdown, recovering a block punt last week against Stanford. Ball at the 29-yard line for the Spartans. 3rd down, 1. And they come up this time in a power I. Give it to Morris, and he falls down. Morris had a couple of blockers in front of him, but he was tripped up before he gets to the line of scrimmage, so they do not pick up the 1st down. Michigan State will be forced to kick.
That's the only time you will see the Spartans using the I formation. Basically, they'll be using a 1-back set along with split backs, but in goal line and short yardage situations, they will revert to the power I.
Now the man to whom Lee Grosscup referred, Ralph Mosienko, Jerry Faust thought he was the difference in the game last week. His last 3 punts last week against the Irish, 57, 71, and 58. But this one is going into a stiff wind, and so it's short. Bouncing at the 42, and it takes a good Illinois bounce, and Michigan State has to cover it at the 49-yard line. So his average will drop. There is also a penalty marker back at the 28-yard line, and a holding call is indicated against the Illini. That is the call from the referee today, Tom Quinn, after a 24-yard punt. The penalty is against the Illini. So all of a sudden, instead of Illinois taking over at midfield, the penalty is marched off against the Illini. A very costly one early in the game as you take a look at the officiating crew headed by Tom Quinn. So instead of Illinois ball, Michigan State has it at the 38.
Defense. First down.
First down, Michigan State at the 38-yard line. John Hurt comes out wide to the right. Butler is the sole back. Urema has good protection, and he finds Turner at the 40-yard line, and he's tackled at the 38 by Mike Heaven. Darrell Turner has already caught more passes in 2 games this season than he did all of last year.
Dave Urema, straight drop back action. This is the sophomore Al Michaels was talking about. He has the size you like, 6'3", 195. He has improved his throwing arm, and he throws a perfect sideline route to number 38, Darrell Turner, who simply went down 14 yards, squared out, and the ball was right on the numbers.
Spartans at the Illini 38-yard line. This is Butler, and there's a penalty marker. Gain of a yard, taking it to the 37-yard line, and another penalty. Last week, Michigan State was outgained by Notre Dame by about a 2-to-1 ratio. But they had the big play when they needed it. And after a 21-21 tie at halftime, they scored the only touchdown of the second half. The penalty, as you can see, against Michigan State. They scored the only touchdown of the second half. And then at the end of the game, they gave up an intentional safety and won it 28-23. Heard Mike White say 5-yarder, if so, decline it.
Hands on the defense, decline, second down.
Penalty, decline.
He meant against the offense. He said defense, but he meant against Michigan State.
5 yards against Michigan State.
And it was declined. You heard White say, if it's a 5-yarder, I don't want it. They'll take the play, which was a 1-yard gain, second down 9.
So it brings up a second and what might be an obvious pass situation, and you can probably look for Darrell Turner as the primary target again.
Dean Altobelli comes in. He and Bobby Morris are now the split backs in this set. Illini showing blitz, and here they come. But the men are picked up, and the throw is dropped at the 28-yard line. The pass intended for Butch Roll, number 89, who caught the winning touchdown pass against Notre Dame last Saturday. Dave Edwards was covering on the play, and the Spartans did a pretty good job picking up the safety blitz that time.
Butch Roll, however, was open over the middle. He had a step on the safety man. Both teams have good tight ends in Roll and Brewster.
Third down and 9 for Michigan State. Early first quarter, no score, before a full house at East Lansing, Michigan. Urema dropping it off from Morse as they set up the screen. He's inside the 35 to 30 and gets to the 28-yard line, and he's very close to a first down. The cornerback, number 15, John Ayers, a junior from Richmond, California in the Bay Area, made the stop. The Illini with numerous players from Northern California in particular. Mike White doing a lot of his recruiting out there, and he has turned the program around in a hurry with some help from the West Coast.
I think sometimes they have a pneumatic tube that goes from Northern California to Champaign.
He has plucked his share. Tony Eason from the Sacramento area, and of course their quarterback right now, Trudeau, is from Northern California. There's the measurement. They are just shy of the first down. Fourth down and inches At the 28, you would expect Michigan State to go for it, even though they have somebody like Mosienko, and they are certainly within his range. They are working into a very stiff wind, and that was quite evident on Mosienko's punt.
They also have a fellow named Carl Butler, who was very effective last week against Notre Dame. Got 98 yards against the Irish, and he's good both as a short yardage runner and as a guy who can bounce outside and break it for you.
And no alumnus will ever get mad at you going for 4th and inches in the first quarter from the 28-yard line. It's Urema looking for the first down. He initially appeared to have been stopped, but on that second effort may have gotten it. We'll see.
That's interesting based on something he told us yesterday. He said he built up his strength this last summer by really getting into a weight program, and he feels that he's a lot stronger both throwing and running. This is a look at what it is down in the trenches. And you see Urema. What he does very effectively, Al, is that instead of going straight ahead where all the traffic is, he slides to the left. Now, I remember as a quarterback myself that that's something you can do. You can kind of look for a little daylight and slide down the line. And because of that, I think he's got it.
Just barely. The Illini thought he didn't have it initially. And that's exactly why he picked up the first down, so they keep the ball.
So the combination of strength, that extra strength, and the good instincts to look for a little daylight to his left. Urema, the young sophomore, he's only 18, as you pointed out. He was able to pick up the first down.
1st and 10, Michigan State at the Illini 28. A drive that started at the Spartan 20. It's Butler to the short side of the field, and he works his way inside the 20-yard line. Pickup of about 9. It'll be 2nd and 1. Vince Osby, left side linebacker, number 23, another Californian. He's from Inglewood, makes the tackle.
Obvious comparison. They use Butler the way the Pittsburgh Steelers use Franco Harris. They bounce him inside, they bounce him outside. They start him on the slant, and if he sees daylight, he will come to the outside. He's got a long way to go to catch up with Franco, though.
2nd down and inches. Altobelli is the running back in this formation. Altobelli gets the call, and he gets the first down as he works to the 14-yard line. John Ayers made the stop. Dean Altobelli is a freshman. They have a couple of very good freshman running backs in Altobelli, 13, and Bobby Morris, 21. And they also have a fellow, Aaron Roberts, who figured to be their #1 running back this season. He is finally healthy. He's been hurt the past couple of weeks. He's only carried 1 time in the first 2 games. He's been bothered by an ankle injury, but he may have a tough time getting a starting job back the way Butler's going.
Altobelli is quite a scholar also.
Finished 1st in his high school graduating class at Escanaba, Michigan. First down from the 14-yard line. Long drive for the Spartans, and this time the middle of the line. Stops Butler before he is able to generate anything. Up front for the Illini, they have people like Mark Butkus, number 53, and if the name sounds familiar, certainly there is a relationship. Dick is his uncle. Dick Butkus of the Chicago Bears, and before that, the University of Illinois, one of the all-time great Illini. Mark, number 53, is a senior from Lansing, Illinois. On 2nd down and 11, it is Aaron Roberts carrying for the first time and stopped after a gain of 1 by Dave Edwards. Safety man coming up, number 27.
Coincidentally, Dick Butkus now works with a former Spartan in television commercials, Bubba Smith.
Right.
Last year at this time, they were out looking for birdies, I remember.
That's right.
I think now they're going to the opera or something like that.
3rd and 10.
George Perlis, the head coach at Michigan State. Interesting story, which will develop. A fellow who has spent the last several seasons in the professional ranks as Chuck Noll's top assistant, and in between had the job with the Philadelphia Stars of the USFL. On 3rd down and 10, it is Urema going nowhere. Rolling to his right, he found that path blocked off. Tried to move back through the inside, and Mo Bias and Ed Brady said, "Not here, fella."
That story may take some time to develop. We have to have several chapters in that story.
Well, Perlis is here, long-term contract, and he's the man of the moment in this state after last week's win.
It's really a match made in heaven because he went to school here. He met his wife here. He really wanted to come back here very much.
Here is Mosienko a 32-yard attempt from the 22-yard line into the wind, and the wind doesn't bother him at all. And the kick is good. They think he's the best kicker in the country. Some of the pro scouts will agree. Long drive culminated with a field goal, 8:46 to go in the period, 3-0 Spartans. Lansing, Michigan, Spartan Stadium. Al Michaels with Lee Grosscup. The Spartans have just taken a 3-0 lead on a Ralph Mosienko field goal. And now Mosienko will kick off into the wind with Dwayne Pugh back deep for the Illini. Mosienko has not missed an extra point or a field goal. Of course, he's the punter, kickoff man, and he's only a junior. So they're not thinking about him in terms of first or second or third rounder or whatever, but the way he is going, they're looking at a very high draft choice. Joe Miles dropping back, number 35. He, along with Luke Sewell, are on the corners with Dwayne Pugh, number 18, the deep man, standing at the goal line. Miles is the fellow that blocked the punt last week against Stanford late in the first half. Recovered by Ayers, and that was the big play in that game, which was won by the Illini 17-7. Into the wind, the kick is hanging, but it's deep enough to prohibit a run back. And now the Illini. Jack Trudeau, a sophomore. He was redshirted last year, the quarterback. Dwight Beverly is a JC transfer. Thomas Rooks from St. Louis is the fullback. Cam Benson is one wide out, and David Williams, whose brother Oliver was a fine receiver for Illinois over the past couple of seasons, is the other receiver, number 1. Williams comes to the left. Benson splits to the right on first down from the 20-yard line, and it's Beverly on the ground for 3 out to the 23-yard line. And the offensive line now for the Fighting Illini of the University of Illinois features Bob Stowe. They picked him up from New Jersey. Rick Schulte made the switch from defense 2 years ago. Bob Miller is the man in the middle at 250 pounds. Babiar is a good one, a junior. And Jim Jerigo was a freshman All-America last year. Tim Brewster caught 8 passes in the game at Missouri. On 2nd and 7 from the 23-yard line, it's Thomas Rooks out to the 26. It'll be 3rd down and 4. Michigan State defensively, as you look at Banks, number 54, Allen, Ranella, Wolf, and Allen up front. Bunch, Morrissey, and Banks. Good linebacking trio. Outstanding. Hannah Lewis is a great athlete. Cunningham and Phil Parker was one of the heroes last week with 2 interceptions, both setting up touchdowns. On 3rd and 4, Trudeau will go to the air and has Williams open at the 32-yard line for a first down. A gain of 6. It'll be 1st and 10 out at the 32-yard line.
David Williams, the brother of Oliver Williams, who you and I covered in this ball game last year. He caught 9 passes last week against Stanford. And he is a good athlete. He has the size you like at 195 pounds, and he runs very precise routes. Good possession receiver who also has the speed to get deep.
He's wide to the left. He played only 1 year of high school ball. 1st and 10 from the 32-yard line, and it's Beverly. Stop for no gain. Dwight is 6 feet even, a 200-pounder. Makes his home in Los Angeles. Transferred from Long Beach State. Very confident fellow. He thinks that he has a chance to be an outstanding professional, though he is, if anything, just beginning to come into his own now, despite the fact he is a senior at the University of Illinois.
He is already comparing himself to Billy Sims of the Detroit Lions. I like a man who has confidence in himself. 2nd down and 10. The fake to Beverly, and then Trudeau throws into traffic, and it's incomplete out at the 45-yard line. He was trying to hit the tight end, Tim Brewster. And we're isolated on number 81. He's 6'4", 230 pounds out of Phillipsburg, New Jersey. Tim Brewster, the tight end, number 81, caught 46 passes during the regular season last year, 52 if you count the Liberty Bowl. That has been one of his favorite routes as he crossed from left to right. However, as you said, Trudeau threw that ball into traffic. There were 3 men around Brewster, and I don't think he should have put that one up.
So 3rd down and 10 from the 32-yard line. Beverly looking for the first down, but he'll come up short. Out to the 37-yard line, and so the Spartans have held the Illini on their first possession. held them to just 1 first down. We have 6 minutes and 34 seconds remaining in the first quarter on a beautiful day in East Lansing, Michigan. Last night, the temperature in this area got down into the mid-30s, but it's warmed up today. Temperature around 60 degrees, and they are sold out. 76,000 here. This is Chris Sigourney kicking with the wind at his back. A line drive kick that is juggled and then caught at the 28-yard line by Darrell Dixon. So an anxious moment for Perlis, but Michigan State still has it after a 35-yard kick. State leads 3-0.
Live shot of the Rhode Island Sound, where the race committee for the America's Cup continues to await a consistent wind. The wind's still shifting. They hope to have an honest race for this last race, so they're still awaiting a start in Newport. Al?
Thank you, Jim, and we'll keep you up to date, obviously, on what's happening in the America's Cup. 7th and concluding race. Michigan State here leads 3-0. They have the ball at the 28-yard line, and it's Urema on first down running out of bounds. Was that a broken play, Cupper?
Definitely a broken play. As you saw Urema make a reverse spin, he was looking to hand off to his one back, Carl Butler, who should have been coming on a slant play. Butler took it wide. Suddenly Urema was there without anyone to hand the ball off to, and so he just took it out of bounds. It was a smart recovery by the quarterback Urema, but it definitely was a broken play.
Loss of 1 as it turns out. 2nd down 11. Michigan State at its own 28-yard line. Spartans lead 3-0 with 6 minutes and 3 seconds remaining in the first quarter. Straight drop by Urema. That line is doing a nice job protecting him, and it's incomplete. The crowd wanted interference called. Bobby Morris was the intended receiver, and Craig Swope came swooping in to jar it loose.
Watch the timing of number 12, Craig Swope, who we saw last year as a freshman. He was the top freshman interceptor in the country with a total of 5. See his timing as he comes up right there? Now you're looking at the offensive line and the protection that is afforded quarterback Dave Urema. This is the type of thing that is so important for a young quarterback to gain his confidence.
On 3rd down and 11, it's Urema looking for Turner. 42-yard line, right down the sideline, and again it was Swope in the area. He's a hard hitter, number 12, just a sophomore, one of the best young defensive backs in the country.
George Perlis calls this a takeoff pattern. Now watch what he does. He makes a little move to the outside, and the ball has to be thrown with touch and timing, with a looping trajectory over the shoulder. And once again, it's the contact and the timing of number 12, Craig Swope, coming over and making the bump on Turner along the sidelines. Good play.
Now Moshenko will be kicking into the wind. Blowing toward him at about 15 miles per hour. The rush was on. They nearly blocked it. And it's fielded, juggled, and recovered at the 40-yard line by Don Passmore. Passmore was very deep. 32-yard kick. And the Illini take over at that spot. 3-0 State. Just the start of a big day on ABC Sports. North American Boxing Championships will follow at 4 Eastern and 3 Central time, and then that will be followed by ABC's Wide World of Sports. Aaron Pryor and Alexis Arguello recently fighting for the World Junior Welterweight Championship. Arguello's final fight. You'll see that, plus live America's Cup coverage on Wide World coming up at 5 Eastern time. Craig Swope, who made a couple of nice defensive plays, along with the Illini defense, take a breather as the offense takes over at the 40-yard line. 1st and 10. And Trudeau dropping straight back, looks to the right side, finds Benson at the 45, and they stop him at the 48-yard line. Tim Cunningham, number 35 from Lansing, Michigan, and Nate Hanna, number 48 out of Pahokee, Florida, make the stop. 9-yard gain, 2nd down and 1. George Perlis, after he left Chuck Noll at Pittsburgh, he signed as the head coach of the Philadelphia Stars of the USFL. And then the Michigan State job opened up as Perlis was preparing for the USFL's first season. This is Beverly getting into Illini territory and has the first down at the 49-yard line. Going to take a look at Carl Banks isolated here.
Carl Banks at his linebacker position for the Spartans has been thought of by the pro scouts as a possible number 1. Now you see why. he always seems to have leverage on the ball carrier. He plays that position with so much intensity that they are calling him the best linebacker that they have had since the great George Webster. And as I mentioned during our pregame show, that goes all the way back to 1966.
On first down, a mix-up in the backfield and a fumble at the 50-yard line. And the Michigan State Spartans recover. Thomas Rooks would have been the ball carrier, but some mistiming in the exchange. And it's Michigan State's number 40, James Morrissey, the linebacker, with the recovery.
This is the kind of play that the Illini will have to avoid. And one of the statistics that George Perlis always talks about is the turnover takeaway ratio. He thinks that's the importance. Look, if they were trying to run a flea flicker right there, he was trying to throw the ball back to the quarterback. And they fumble. Morrissey, number 40, comes up with it for the Spartans.
Trickery and deceit will sometimes kill you. 4:46 to go in the quarter. State leading Illinois in the first quarter, 4:46 remaining in the period. Jim Morrissey, the man who recovered the fumble on the ill-fated flea flicker attempt by Illinois. Michigan State has the ball directly at midfield. Nose of the ball on the 50-yard line. Dave Urema, the sophomore quarterback, fakes the give. He's under some pressure here, and down he goes back at the 40-yard line. Ed Brady came flying through from the middle backer spot, 6'2", 230-pound senior out of Morris, Illinois.
Here is a good look at a blitzing situation. Now watch what happens as the linebacker, number 61, Ed Brady, comes from the middle linebacker spot in the 4-3, and he is missed by number 49 by Michigan State, and comes right on through a clear shot at the quarterback, Dave Urema.
Loss of 11. It is second down and 21 for Michigan State. They're working into the win in the first quarter. Butler for a gain of 1. Butler is out of Eloy, Arizona. 6 feet even, 210-pounder. It'll be third down and 20.
Don Thorpe, number 96, is 250 pounds, and he has been the most active member of the front four for the Fighting Illini. He has the strength that you like, the quickness, the reading ability, and that time he threw off a blocker and was in on the tackle, as he has been so many times in the last 3 years.
Third down and 20 from the 40-yard line. Urema rolling right. He's got hurt in the pattern, but he can't get open, and Urema has to eat it. And out of bounds he goes at the 43-yard line, so the punting unit comes on. He was forced out by Mike Weingrad, number 36.
And it doesn't taste good.
Well, they had an opportunity to take advantage of the fumble recovery, but wind up losing 7 yards on that series. And with 3:21 remaining in the first quarter, it's Ralph Mosienko to do the kicking, and West Virginia with Hostetler at quarterback leading Boston College 14-0 quickly. Mosienko under some pressure from the outside gets the kick away. It's hanging, and a fair catch is called for and made at the 26-yard line by Randy Grant.
By 87, Randy
so the Illini will take over at the 26 after a 31-yard kick. It'll be a lot different when he's got the wind at his back. Green Bay and the New York Giants is the matchup Monday night at 9 o'clock Eastern time. The Packers coming in 2-1. The Giants trying to get it turned around with a mark of 1-2 on Monday Night Football. First down, Illinois at the 27-yard line. Trudeau going to the air, and it is intercepted at the 45-yard line by Tim Cunningham on a pass intended for David Williams, who had gotten behind Cunningham, but Cunningham leaping and making a fingertip catch, and the Spartans have the ball right back.
Jack Trudeau is trying to throw to his wide receiver, David Williams, number 1, who's on a takeoff pad. He's just running straight upfield. And watch number 35, strong safety Tim Cunningham, with perfect timing, jump in front of Williams and make a leaping interception.
He has given the Spartans possession at the 45-yard line of Illinois with 3:11 to go in the period. Butler looking for some room and is bunched up after he gets 2
to the 42-yard line. The cornerback, John Ayers, number 15, coming up to make the stop. So they've had a fumble recovery by Morrissey, and now the interception by Cunningham, who's a hometown boy from Lansing. Attended Everett High School in the area, and that's Magic Johnson's alma mater. Second down. Call it 8 at the 42-yard line. This is Altobelli, the freshman. Inside the 40. Dropped at the 38-yard line by Terry Cole and David Edwards.
I started to talk about this earlier, but Perlis feels that the turnover takeaway statistic is the most important one. It means that you just have to avoid mistakes and force mistakes on the opposition. So he was +2 in that ratio coming into today's game. So there's 2 more turnovers for Illinois, none for Michigan State. That means that they're now +4 on the season. He feels the defense, the kicking game, and the turnover takeaway statistic are the 3 most important things in a winning program.
Third down and a long 3. He fakes the pitch to Butler, keeps himself, and has the first down as he is dragged down at the 29-yard line by Craig Swope. Nice call by Urema. And
Dave Urema is developing into quite a story here in Lansing. Fakes one way, bootlegs it out to the right, comes around, picks up a nice block right here, and scoots around the right side for a valuable first down for the Spartans. We talked about how he has increased his strength. He now bench presses 275 pounds. He's gained some weight, gained some confidence, and he is showing the leadership qualities that you like in a young quarterback.
First down, Michigan State. They lead 3-0, and there's nothing cooking for Dean Altobelli. He's dropped immediately by Curtis Clark, the backup left end from Pasadena, California.
Urema told me yesterday that the guy he always admired when he was growing up was Terry Bradshaw. So it's appropriate that a coach from the Pittsburgh Steelers would come in and bring the Pittsburgh Steeler offense for him.
George Perlis looking for his 3rd win. Last year, Michigan State under Muddy Waters had a mark of 2-9. Right now, 2-0. It is second down and 12. And Urema throwing to the near side, complete at the 24-yard line as he took a shot. Clint Haynes came in to put the pressure on as Turner makes the reception.
Now, if you're a young quarterback and you want to see how to execute the sideline cut, take a look at this. Dave Urema, straight drop back action. He delivers this ball, and what I like about it is it's thrown low and outside. Never throw the sideline cut high and inside, but when you throw it that way, you increase the distance between your receiver and the defender, and it's virtually impossible to stop.
And Urema over on the sideline. His shoulder apparently bothering him, and we'll get a report for you, but Rick Kolb has come in. He's the backup quarterback, and it's the first action Kolb has seen this season. Urema has quarterback every down in the first 2 games. And so Rick Kolb, just like that, a senior from Plantation, Florida, comes in along with Tony Manley at a running back spot. It is 3rd down and 5, and Kolb will go to the air, and I think that might be a lateral pass, and it's recovered by Illinois. It was indeed, as number 36 Mike Weingrad comes up with it. The pressure that time was applied on the safety blitz by Craig Swope.
Rick Kolb, who didn't even have time to warm up, is trying to throw a fast-developing screen to Altobelli. Now watch to see if the ball is indeed a lateral. Yes, it is. You can see that it is thrown backwards. Weingrad, the linebacker, comes up along the sideline, covers the football, and now the Illini have it.
And it's Beverly carrying on first down. Beverly taking it to about the 39-yard line. Make it the 38, and there is Urema with the shirt off, being checked out. Might be the man Michigan State can least afford to lose.
Absolutely. And Kolb, as I said, didn't even have a chance to warm up before he came into the game and threw a pass.
On 2nd down and 8, Trudeau is flushed out of the pocket and bounces one incomplete. Intended for Beverly. And there's a marker down at the 37.
Offside, ready? What do you got?
It appears to be on his left or non-throwing side.
Meanwhile, offside is the call against Michigan State. Urema will have a seat, at least for the moment. Meanwhile, now Kolb finally gets a chance to start to warm up. So Kolb, as Lee pointed out, never even had a chance to warm up. All of a sudden comes in, wants to throw a screen, and winds up throwing a lateral that's recovered. This is Beverly slithering his way over the right side out near the 47-yard line and close to a first down. With 33 seconds remaining in the first quarter, Michigan State leading 3-0 on a Ralph Moshenko field goal.
That's what we talked about at the top of the show. Beverly needs more carries to gain the confidence of Mike White and some of his teammates. He already has a lot of confidence in himself, but he needs more carries.
He got the first down. It's 1st and 10 from the 47. Trudeau has it knocked down at the line of scrimmage. Tom Allen, number 59, 6'2", 245-pound senior from Cincinnati. And he's replacing Leroy Shepard, who would be the starter. Shepard out with a bruised knee.
Jack Trudeau, straight drop back action, a little play action fake right here. Now watch Tom Allen come into your picture. And you can see that he has his hands up right there, and Trudeau nearly had a completion to himself. That would have been a completed pass had he caught the ball. I remember completing a couple like that to myself. However, that would have been for negative yardage, so he was wise in dropping the ball.
2nd and 10, and wide open over the middle for a first down is Randy Grant as he takes it to the Spartan 41-yard line. A first down for the Illini, trying to capitalize. Clock stopped momentarily for the first down inside the 42-yard line. Now it starts again, and it's doubtful the Illini will get off another play before the period expires. Although they do come up to the line of scrimmage, 1 second, and that's it. They do not get the snap off, and they will be going with the win when we start the second quarter. So we played 15 as you look at Urema. After the first period, it's Michigan State 3 and Illinois nothing.
In Chapel Hill early, it's William and Mary 7, North Carolina nothing. Back to Al Michaels.
All right, Jim, and here as we start the second period, Michigan State 3, Illinois nothing. Illinois has the ball. 1st and 10 at the Michigan State 41-yard line with Jack Trudeau, the sophomore quarterback, giving it to Dwight Beverly, who hurdles his way inside the 40 to the 39-yard line. It'll be 2nd down and 8.
And as we look at the stats, you see that it's pretty much an even ball game, except that Michigan State, in terms of time of possession, has really been able to keep the football. And George Perlis feels that that, too, is one of his favorite statistics. He believes in the concept of ball control, and the Spartans were very effective in keeping the football throughout the first quarter.
On 2nd down and 8, they set up a screen. It's Rooks who takes it inside the 40, works his way inside the 30, the 20, and down he goes at the 15-yard line. Screen pass, and Rick Schulte made that one develop with a good block shortly after the completion.
Watch the acting here by Trudeau. He makes it look as if he's going to throw downfield. It's a slow developing screen to Rooks out in the left flat. Schulte gets a block right there. He cuts off the block, cuts back. Now watch what he does right here. He covers the ball as he goes down to avoid fumbling because he really took a shot.
So a first down at the 14-yard line. Now the initial report we are getting from the Michigan State bench is not good for the Spartans. They are telling us that Urema is out for the rest of the day
with a possible shoulder separation, and usually that means 6 to 8 weeks if it's a serious separation.
So a major blow for the Spartans as Rooks takes the pitch to the short side of the field and fights his way inside the 10, and there is Urema. And that's a terrible sight for 76,000 people in Spartan Stadium to watch as Urema is going back to the dressing room.
And also what I said is not accurate. I said I thought it was on his left side. He is now holding his right arm in a sling. So that means that if it's his right side, that would be very serious. And Kolb now at least has a chance to warm up, but he's had very little playing time.
Second down, 3 with the ball at the 7-yard line. It's Beverly to the short side. He's inside the 5, and I think just shy of a first down. You can see the yardstick right there. Phil Parker and James Morrissey bumping him out. Michigan State on top by a score of 3-0, and Carl Banks is limping off, number 54. There he is. So there is their most valuable defensive player. They've already lost Urema for the day. And apparently just a cramp for Carl, at least hopefully for the Spartans. Just a cramp. But Banks is out for at least
He's in pain.
Right.
Boy, he is in awful pain right now. And if it is a cramp, I can understand.
Third down and inches now with the ball at the 4-yard line. The Illini coming up with Beverly, the I back. And now they break the I with split backs, Beverly and Rooks. And it's Beverly who gets, I believe, the first down. Tunneling his way to about the 3-yard line. And it is a 1st and goal now for Illinois.
Beverly, we said, would be carrying the ball a lot today. That's one of the things we developed at the top of the show. Already he has 9 carries for 22 yards. Not very impressive statistically, but he is getting a chance to carry the football. And Mike feels that he's the type of guy, the more he carries, the better he will get.
Beverly and Rooks are the running backs on 1st and goal from the 3-yard line. It's Beverly. Same play, but he slithers to the outside and gets in for the touchdown.
Case in point, he bounced outside that time. It looked like he was stopped at the line of scrimmage, and that's what the type of running that the Illini need to give the aforementioned balance that we talked about. Low level, this is what it looks like if you're a quarterback handing off, and look, right there is where he bounces outside, and now it's just a foot race to the end zone. Dwight Beverly from Los Angeles, number 20, scores for the Illini.
And Rick Schulte laid down the block to help spring him to the outside as the Illini take the lead with 13 minutes and 29 seconds remaining in the first half. So Chris White, Mike's son, who played only basketball in high school, now the Illini place kicker, and the kick is perfect. And Chris for the season is now 4 for 4. As you look at Beverly, who scores the touch, the Illini leads 7-3 in the second period. Scoring the touchdown, the Illini on top. Last week, he rushed for 116 yards against Stanford. Illinois on top 7-3 with 13 minutes and 29 seconds remaining in the first half.
That was the first time an Illini rusher had gone over 100 yards since 1980. Mike Holmes did it in 1980 in Mike White's first year as head coach. But they have not had a great rushing output, and that's one of the things that Mike really would like to achieve.
That's Illinois' first touchdown on the ground this season. White kicks into the wind. Good kickoff down to the 3-yard line, fielded by Larry Jackson, and he takes it out to the 15. The Illini taking advantage and moving 64 yards in 10 plays. It took them 2:46 as Beverly goes in for the score. Next week, we can tell you we'll have regional action for you. Arizona against California will be one of the games, plus other regional action. So check your local listings, and we'll have it for you next week at 3:30 Eastern time. First down for the Spartans from the 15-yard line. So Rick Kolb out of Plantation, Florida, is the quarterback, and he gives it to Butler. And of course, when something like this happens, you wonder about the game plan, because you go in figuring you've got somebody like Urema, who had played very well, and now all of a sudden here is Rick Kolb, who is a senior but has played very little over the past couple of years.
definitely affects the game plan. You figure that they're going to run the football a little bit more and that they're going to go with some short passes to help Kolb build up his confidence because he just hasn't had the playing time. Now, of course, he's going to come out and throw the bomb.
Yeah, 2nd down and 9. Just outside the 15-yard line. It's out to Belly and a sweep to the right, who turns the corner and gains about 6 to the 21-yard line. Don Thorpe chased him to make the stop, number 96. Rick Kolb, over the past 2 seasons, has thrown a total of 35 passes. He has been on the squad since 1980, yet he has not earned a varsity letter. As you look at Banks, the report on Banks, a twisted knee, but he'll be back in. Banks has not missed a game in his career here at Michigan State. The report, of course, on Urema is that he is out for the day. So Kolb on 3rd down and 4 from the 21-yard line gives the ball to Butler, and he has the 1st down and a little bit more as he works out to the 36-yard line. Mike Weingrad cut him down at that spot. So Butler may be the key factor now with Urema out.
Butler, the remaining back on that sweep to the weak side, breaks the tackle behind the line of scrimmage, but sets it up. He gets 2 more blocks, and you see some of the power and open field ability that enabled him to run for 98 yards as he was the workhorse last week against Notre Dame.
1st down at the 35-yard line. Kolb throwing over the middle. Turner trying for a one-handed catch and can't make it. Turner going high in the air. Kolb from Plantation, Florida. His father is the sports editor of the Fort Lauderdale News.
Turner on a deep square in route, and watch how he gets up. He has a 40-inch vertical jump. He can literally get up over the goalpost and stuff the ball if he has to, but he ran a deep square in route, and that's one of the plays he scored on last week in the ball game against Notre Dame.
2nd and 10 from the 34-yard line. Butler nearly gets tripped up and then runs up the back of one of his own men, and Mike Johnson makes the tackle. Got a yard. 3rd down and 9. A little more than 11 minutes remaining in the 1st half. Illinois on top 7-3. The conference opener for both schools, in fact all of the schools in the Big Ten Open Conference play today. William and Mary in North Carolina now tied. West Virginia has added 3 more. They lead 17-0 in the 2nd period. And NC State has a 7-3 lead over Virginia in the 2nd quarter. Here on 3rd down and 9 from the 35. Kolb throwing, and it's incomplete near midfield. And it will be 4th down. Isolate on Butch Roll right here.
Butch Roll, the tight end who lined up as a slot that time, was just trying to run a seam route, and Kolb once again was high with his throwing. He's got to lower his sights. You can show that he's a little bit rusty. Carl Banks, who we thought maybe would be back today, looking at that, Al, I would say that with a twisted left knee, he probably won't be back.
Well, they had indicated earlier that Banks would be back, that the injury was nothing major, and now all of a sudden Banks needs assistance to go back. Here's Mosienko. Now he has the wind at his back. He should really boom this one. And he does. It's a low kick. It's fielded at the 18-yard line, and his knee went down at that spot. Don Pastmore. And of course, in college football, once your knee touches, that's the end of the play. So they whistle it dead at the 19. The Illini have it back, and they lead 7-3 in the 2nd period. 33 remaining in the 2nd quarter at East Lansing, Michigan. Illinois leading Michigan State 7-3. Al Michaels and Lee Grosskopf with you as Illinois takes over at the 20-yard line, 1st and 10. Sole running back in this set is Thomas Rooks. Trudeau is rolling right. He'll keep it. Puts his head down and gets out to the 23 for a gain of 3. He's stopped by Nate Hanna. 75,867 is the attendance today. Tickets became very tough to get after last week as you look around Spartan Stadium. They've always drawn well here, of course, but this place went crazy after last Saturday's victory against the Fighting Irish.
George Perlis would like to bring back the glory days of Biggie Munn and Duffy Doherty.
He's 2-0 already. They opened here with a win over Colorado, and then last week the victory at South Bend. Rooks takes the pitch, and Rooks gets out to the 29-yard line. Shy of a first down. It'll be 3rd down and 1. We were talking about Perlis before. George, as I mentioned, took over as head coach of the Philadelphia Stars, though he left before the USFL started its season. And then when he came here to replace Muddy Waters, he got a long-term contract, and they also had to make a payment to the Stars, who had threatened a lawsuit. They settled out of court because Miles Tannenbaum, who owned the Stars, was upset that Perlis had left, as Beverly takes it out past the 30 to the 32-yard line. So Michigan State says that we're not admitting guilt, but they didn't want an injunction. And right now you've got Tom Allen, who is injured for Michigan State. And to avoid any further delay in obtaining the services of Perlis, they simply settled with the Stars out of court, so they had to make that payment. They had to pay off the final 2 years of Muddy Waters' contract. And Perlis has a good salary right now, up near $100,000. But he paid a few dividends last week. He's got his problems, though, this week with a couple of key men already out, and Illinois on top 7-3. We'll be right back. In Boston, a field goal by the Eagles, so it's now West Virginia 17, Boston College 3 in the second quarter. Here, 1st and 10 for Illinois at the 32-yard line. Tom Allen left the field under his own power, but he's out at the defensive left end as the pass is lofted and incomplete, out of bounds at the 43-yard line, intended for Scott Golden. Some other scores for you. Early on, Clemson has scored. They lead Georgia Tech. Game in this area, Central Michigan leading Western Michigan 13-0 in the first quarter. Baylor 3, Texas Tech 2, and a good pitchers battle in the second period. Mike White, his 4th year at Illinois, 1 game over 500, spent 6 seasons as the head coach at California, and then 2 seasons as an assistant with the San Francisco 49ers. On 2nd down and 10, screen is set up for Rooks, who has some blockers out in front, and Rooks takes it to the 41-yard line, and there's a penalty marker down. Penalty marker is down. Offside is the call against Michigan State. Dave Wolf, number 56, according to our spotter Kelly J. Hayes of Malibu, California, was the man who is the guilty party. Now Trudeau is going to take a look at White along the sidelines, and they're going to decide whether they want a gain of about 9 and have to use up the down, or whether they want the penalty. And apparently they will take the penalty. So what you're saying is, do you want it to be 2nd down and 5, or
offside on the defense here? Repeat 2nd down.
2nd and 5.
So that's exactly what it is. It's do you want it 2nd and 5.5 or 3rd and inches? And White figures he'd rather have the extra down. So 2nd down 5 from the 38-yard line. It's Rooks taking the pitch. He stopped at the 38-yard line after a gain of 1. 3rd down and 4. Nate Hanna, number 48, made the tackle.
The reason I got quiet there is because I'm pondering that call. I'm still not sure. I think maybe I would have taken the 3rd and inches.
It's tempting, you would think. Easy, especially now. I mean, now we can second guess.
Exactly. Now it's much easier.
Right. 20/20 hindsight. 3rd down 4 from the 38-yard line, and number 89, Scott Davis, The tight end on the right side got a little over anxious, and that'll cost him 5 more with 8 minutes and 55 seconds remaining in the first half.
Encroachment, Illinois.
7-3, the Illini on top. Big game in the Big Ten today.
Encroachment, offense.
Ohio State against Iowa. Starting later. As you look at Mike White. Again this year, Ohio State, Michigan, Iowa, as usual, the teams to beat for the conference title. 3rd down and 9. Trudeau, he has a lot of space out in front, has the first down, and he drops down at the 49-yard line as Trudeau saw nothing but a lot of AstroTurf out in front of him. The whole place, it seemed, had cleared out for Trudeau, and he exploits it. Good block by Chris Babillard to spring him loose initially.
Here's an interesting graphic. He is the first quarterback in 6 years who is not a junior college transfer. You talked about this at the top about how Mike White really raided the JUCO circuit when he first came here.
Beverly did a lot of dancing and juking, but didn't get anywhere. 2nd down and 10. Well, we were talking about Mike White. I asked him yesterday about his future, where he wanted to be 5 or 10 years from now.
Answer, Al, because I think some coaches in the profession are always impatient. You know, they're always looking where the grass is greener. I've never been that kind of guy, and the only thing that's important to me now is to complete the job at Illinois. And completing the job isn't to win every game every year, but it's to create a program and establish a program that 10, 15, 20 years from now we can look back and point with pride to what we achieved. So I have no intention of leaving. In fact, as I said, I want to complete a job in this business, and we're on our way, and we've still got work to do, but that's the most important thing to me.
On 2nd down and 10, it was Trudeau keeping, and he was stopped by Parker as he takes the ball into Michigan State territory, stopped at the 42-yard line. So Mike White, a Californian, he's beaten Michigan State in each of his 3 years. There was some talk during the winter about White perhaps succeeding Bill Walsh as the head coach of the San Francisco 49ers when Walsh was contemplating retirement. On 3rd down and short, it's Trudeau throwing complete to the 35-yard line where Tim Brewster makes the catch. 1st and 10 at the 35. Let's get a word now from New York as we check in with Jim Lampley. Poon.
Al Michaels, here's a further update on the America's Cup. The boats are still waiting off the coast of Rhode Island. The race committee still awaiting an acceptable wind. If they do not race today, they must race tomorrow unless the American yacht Liberty calls for a day off. It has that right. Now back to Al Michaels.
Okay, Jim, here, Illinois 1st and 10 from the 35-yard line as Trudeau throws complete to the 26-yard line to Mitchell Brookins, number 33. Brookins, a former running back. They've converted him to wide receiver. As you look at Butkus' nephew, young Mark. I wonder if he's a glass eater.
Or a snake collector or whatever. We haven't had as many character types in the 80s as we had back in the 70s and the late 60s. It seemed like everywhere we went back in those days, there was always somebody that ate light bulbs or had a snake for a pet or something like that.
Goes in cycles. They'll be back. Here's Rooks trying to find his way forward for a first down. Speaking of family affairs, as you can see right there, well, you've got Perlis' son, who is a reserve for Michigan State. We've talked about Mike's kid, Chris, who's the place kicker. Chuck Fairbanks, his son, Toby, is also in uniform for Michigan State. Then you've got Dick Butkus, the uncle of Mark, and Reggie McKenzie, the Bills offensive guard. Man, O.J. used to love. A cousin of Terry Lewis, the defensive back for Michigan State. It's a first down for Illinois at the 25-yard line. Beverly has no help at all. Thomas Tyree, number 28, the first to hit him.
Here is a good example of swarm tackling by the Michigan State Spartans defensively. Watch what happens as Beverly tries to bounce outside as he did on the touchdown run, and you see 5 green jerseys right there.
Loss of 4, second down and 14 for Illinois at the Michigan State 29-yard line. 5 minutes and 30 seconds remaining in the first half. Illinois with the ball and the lead. They're on top 7-3. Trudeau throwing for Brewster and has him at the 5-yard line. Trudeau had 2 options there. He had a lot of room in front of him. He could have run for the first down, but he saw Brewster was open, hits him, and it's 1st and goal. Parker made the tackle.
Watch right here, because Trudeau was very close to ping over the line of scrimmage when he threw this ball. He bootlegs out to his left. Now watch, he comes right up to the line of scrimmage. His right foot was actually on the line of scrimmage. He delivered it on time. Brewster on a crossing route makes the catch, and that is a fine tight end, Tim Brewster.
Trudeau is now 7 of 11 for 94 yards. They give it to Beverly on 1st and goal. No gain. Thomas Tyree, number 28, again making the stop. If you joined us late, Michigan State has lost its starting quarterback, Dave Urema, who had played every down in the first 2 games. They have lost, at least for this half, the linebacker Carl Banks. What a sight that must have been in the dressing room as Urema is sitting there in the training area getting worked on, to see Banks walk in.
You take away your best offensive and best defensive threat before you've played 20 minutes.
Second down and goal at the 5-yard line. It's Beverly again behind Rooks, but it's the Michigan State defense stiffening. No gain again. 3rd down and goal.
This is what it looks like when you're down there. And you see once again the surge of Michigan State.
They need one more surge. 3rd down and goal at the 5-yard line. And this time Trudeau's going to go to the air, and he lost one toward Brookins, and Brookins in the corner of the end zone for the touchdown. And a flag down. It should be interference against Nate Hanna, who was covering. Brookins, a running back who's been converted to take advantage of his speed and his leaping ability. Interference is the call. Of course, it's declined, and Illinois is on top by a score of 13-3 as we watch it again.
Trudeau is going to throw a straight fade pattern to Mitchell Brookins. Now this is the real true touch and timing route. He throws it to the outside. Nate Hanna, number 48, on the coverage. The interference is obvious, but the catch is there too. Refused. Touchdown.
Big play man. He's caught 4 passes this season, 3 for touchdowns. Chris White. Ken Cruz, the backup quarterback, does the holding. White's kick is good. He's 2 for 2 today, 5 for 5 for the season. You look at Brookins, 4 catches this year, 75% of those for touchdowns.
Another look at the same play from a different angle. Mitchell Brookins, the fastest man on the Illini roster, just runs down there. He has him beat momentarily. Hanna catches up. He comes back for the ball, and there's the TD.
3:41 to go in the half. And following our game, preceding Wide World North American Boxing Championships, I think most of you know that Teofilo Stevenson, the great Cuban heavyweight, was upset by Craig Payne. And, of course, Pryor against Arguello in live America's Cup coverage on Wide World at 5 Eastern time. 3:41 remaining first half. Illinois leading Michigan State 14-3 with Chris White to kick off for the Illini. Kicking into the wind, Larry Jackson back deep to receive for the Spartans. Beautiful weather, temperature in the 60s, cloudless sky at East Lansing. There is Perlis, his son. We talked about George's son in uniform here, one of the special teams members. He's lined up in the front group. Kick will be fielded at the 3, dropped and picked up again at the 4 by Jackson, and he is covered at the 6-yard line. So things started out well for the Spartans. They took the initial lead 3-0, capitalized on an Illini penalty, but it's all Illinois since, as you look at the numbers on their last drive as they go down the field 81 yards.
One of the things we developed at the top of the show is that Mike White wanted more balance in his attack. 69 yards rushing, 99 yards passing. That's better, but I think he'd still like to even it up some more. However, he'll take the points any way he can get them.
Well, he can rush now. He can control the ball. He's got an 11-point lead, and the Spartans are in deep trouble with Urema gone. Again, it's Kolb, the backup quarterback, who has played sparingly the past couple of seasons, who is in there. And it's Butler taking it out to the 8-yard line.
Butler, the ball carrier. Tackled by 96, Don Thorpe.
Number 96, Don Thorpe, is already 4th in career tackles for loss for the Illini. And he has been really awesome the last 2 seasons. In recent weeks, he has a total of 22 tackles coming into today's game, 5 of those behind the line of scrimmage prior to today.
2nd down and 8. The ball at the 8-yard line. Michigan State with the wind at their backs. And it's Kolb throwing incomplete. The receiver had gone out of bounds anyway. You can see Turner was on the other side of the sideline with 2:52 to go in the first half. Kolb is 0 for his first 3.
Got off to a terrible start. The first pass he threw was a lateral that was picked up by the Illini, and I think that's when things really begin to change. Of course, Dave Urema leaving the game. I guess you could say that maybe that was the turning point.
3rd down and 8 from the 8. Illinois on top 14-3 late in the first half. Kolb steps up, throws to Altobelli, who's wide open. He's to the 30, Altobelli to the 40. He is into Illinois territory and stopped at the 45-yard line. Dean Altobelli, the freshman from Escanaba, Michigan, taking the pass. He has good speed, and he nearly went all the way.
Watch how open Altobelli gets now. Kolb takes his time. He gets good protection. He's looking to his right. Now, he sees Altobelli in the seam of that zone coverage. And look right here. It looks momentarily like he's going to go the distance. And finally, it is Edwards who comes up and makes the tackle. He got some good blocks along the way.
Exactly what Michigan State needed at this point. 49-yard pickup. And they're at the Illini 44-yard line, and Kolb will put it up again if he can, but he can't. He is decked at the 49-yard line by Don Thorpe, number 96. There's Altobelli, Dean, a freshman.
The way Thorpe is playing, he is definitely a bona fide All-American candidate. We've seen him do this 3 times already today. He had 5 tackles for loss before today's game, and he is, as I pointed out, already 4th in career tackles for loss. That's what he does so effectively.
Second down, 15 at the 49-yard line. Draw. They smelled it. You could hear everybody yelling draw. Darrell Thompson, number 99, transfer from Arizona Western, making the stop. Butler, it's interesting, Thompson and Butler, well, he made the tackle on, both went to Arizona Western. Butler winds up at Michigan State, and Darrell winds up with Mike White.
Where is Arizona Western? I forgot.
I think it's in Yuma.
Okay.
If it's not, the phone will ring here in about 20 seconds. 3rd down and 15 at the 49-yard line. Kolb looking for Turner. Well, Turner not only was near the sideline, he was double covered. There was no way Kolb was going to get that one in there. 4th down.
That's one of the things that you will see in an inexperienced quarterback is that he will throw the ball into coverage like this. However, if you are going to throw it, this is a good place to throw it, is high, and so nobody can intercept it, high and out of bounds. But there you saw the double coverage, and so what he should have done was come back to his outlet receiver.
Now Mosienko, who's averaging only 36 today because 2 of the 3 kicks have been into the wind. kick. They're going to let it bounce, and Michigan State cannot down it. Crosses the goal line, goes into the end zone. 49-yard kick by Moshenko. And the Illini will take over with 36 seconds remaining in the first half. And a reminder that coming up tomorrow, Sunday afternoon baseball will concentrate on the National League East. Philadelphia against St. Louis, Pittsburgh against Montreal are the two games tomorrow at 2 o'clock Eastern time. And I think most of you saw this morning where Steve Carlton last night won his 300th game as the Phillies keep rolling on top in the National League East. And the Dodgers beat Atlanta in the West last night 11-2. So it's looking like Philadelphia against LA in the playoffs. First down from the 20-yard line, and they'll be content to run out the clock as Thomas Rooks takes it out to the 43-yard line. Neither team has used a timeout in this half, and it doesn't appear that either team will in fact use a timeout. They'll simply let the clock run down and go back. And for George Perles in particular, he's got some thinking to do and some juggling and realigning to do. He's lost his quarterback Urema, and we'll find out about his outstanding linebacker Banks, who missed the second quarter after he twisted his knee. So the teams leave the field at East Lansing. 14-3 is our halftime score, with the Illini on top. Back after this message about an upcoming stadium before more than 75 off Michigan State's first drive to make it.
Watch what Beverly does so effectively is that he starts to go off tackle, then he bounces to the outside, shows you some of that speed, and one of the reasons that the coaches feel that he can become an outstanding running back. He has already been an all-purpose player, but now they want to get more mileage out of him as a running back.
That made the score 7-3, and then late in the second quarter, this culminated in an 81-yard drive as Mitch Brookins, the erstwhile running back, makes a nice catch for a touchdown.
He's running a simple fade pattern, touch and timing to the outside. Nate Hanna is on the coverage there. He interferes with Mitchell Brookins, but of course they decline the penalty and take the touchdown.
That made the score 14-3, and then Michigan State gave the folks something to cheer about here late in the first half on this pass from Kolb to the freshman Altobelli.
Kolb had been having his problems up until now. In fact, it was his only completion of the first half. 1 for 5 for 49 yards, all on this play. Altobelli found a little open seam in the zone coverage and then took it for a 49-yard gain. That by far the biggest play of the first half for the Spartans.
Well, there's no question about it. Right now, George Perles and his gang, they have lost the starting quarterback, Urema. So what do? Do you throw the whole game plan out the window, or just what at halftime?
I definitely don't think you throw out the entire game plan, but they're going to have to make some adjustments from their initial game plan, because Kolb is a guy who's obviously having problems with his timing. I think he needs to build his confidence. He needs to establish some of the running game. He needs to get some completions on first down. I think you're going to see him throwing mostly the underneath patterns and stuff that will give him a little bit of a momentum, because he was obviously rusty in the first half. And so I think that Urema out of there, Banks out of there, it's definitely an ideal situation for Mike White and what he said at the top of the show that he wanted to develop. He is trying to achieve more balance in his game, and with a situation like he has right now, it's really a textbook game plan for him. He can do exactly the things that he wants to do. He can run the ball effectively and go with a ball control passing offense, and I think that's what you're going to see the Illini doing.
I mentioned early on, it's the same sort of year in the Big Ten. The favorites to win are Michigan, Ohio State, and Iowa. Ohio State meets Iowa later today. People wonder about a team like Illinois. Just how good are they? They went to the Liberty Bowl last season, first bowl appearance in 19 years. They're going to really find out next week, I think, just how good they are against Iowa. What do you think? Are they good enough to contend for the conference championship this year?
I don't know if they're in the category with Iowa and Ohio State, the two teams I've seen already. I would say that they're in a good situation because they are a dark horse. Most of the preseason forecasters said Illinois would finish 4th or lower. So that they come in and they can kind of sneak up on the league a little bit, whereas if you're rated up there 1 or 2, then everybody's shooting at you. I would say definitely the Illini may have a chance to sneak in the back door.
And Michigan State trying for a little bit of a resurgence in their program. Of course, last week the big victory, but their work cut out today. It's 14-3 at the half. The teams are coming back out onto the field. The second half is about ready to begin. Halftime score, Illinois 14, Michigan State 3. George Perles in his third game as the head coach at Michigan State University, and he's made the transition from the pros. We talked a little bit about that yesterday.
Well, in my case, I've gone from the colleges to the pros and back. It was tougher going from college to pro because it was a new experience. There was some anxiety there. Coming back to something I've already done is not a problem at all, and I'm just glad to be back at Michigan State.
George Perles, you know, it's funny. You talk about coaching and what it does to you emotionally. Here's a guy riding the crest last week. And we talked to him yesterday, Cuthbert. You know, in his office, it was like he never wanted that week to end, but he's a realist. He said, look, I'm going to lose one of these days. There's no question about that. And it's back to reality.
And he said something interesting. He said when you had to face the pro fans, they would come up and they'd razz him and say, you guys, you didn't handle the spread properly or this, and he said, to heck with that. But he said when you let down some of these loyal fans like you have here at Michigan State, he said, I dread that day.
Halftime stats right there.
One thing we talked about, the thing we're trying to develop is that Illinois is seeking more balance in their attack, and you see that they have achieved that pretty well in the first half. 99 yards passing, 76 yards rushing, and they caught up in terms of time of possession. You remember that in the first quarter, they only had the ball for 4 minutes. So they really started to turn things around in the second quarter, and they have taken charge of this football game, and it all started when Dave Urema left the game for the Spartans.
And we'll see about Banks. No report on whether he will play in the second half or not. At the beginning of the game, new option this year, you can choose to do whatever you want in the second half if you win the coin flip, and that was the case. Illinois won the toss of the coin, and so they have elected to receive in the second half, and that's the case right here as Mosienko kicks off with the wind at his back, and is fielded deep in the end zone by Dwayne Pugh, and it will come out to the 20-yard line. Let's take a look at Tom Allen now, who was injured but is back in defensively at end. Jim Ranella out of Plantation, Florida, along with Dave Wolf. They are the tackles, and Kelly Quinn on the outside from Stone Mountain, which is near Atlanta. Derek Bunch was limping around toward the end of the half. Jim Morrissey had a fumble recovery, and there's Banks, and we'll find out about him in a minute. And it is Warren Lester who is starting at Banks' spot. So Banks is still not back in the lineup. Twisted his knee in the first half. Up come the Illini with Trudeau going right to the air here in the second half. Throws to Thomas Rooks, and he's hit at the line of scrimmage. Second down and 10. Now the secondary for the Spartans. Nate Hanna, cornerback. They like to recruit in Florida. Terry Lewis from Highland Park, Michigan. Phil Parker had the 2 interceptions last week. And then Tim Cunningham, who's had one today, the strong safety. Second down and 10. Jack Trudeau backed up Tony Eason the past couple of seasons. Well, in fact, he played very little as a freshman, and then last year was redshirted. So he is a sophomore athletically, as Rooks carries and takes some people with him out to the 32-yard line on the first down. Offensively now for the Fighting Illini, Trudeau with Beverly and Rooks doing the brunt of the ball carrying, and Benson and Williams the wide receivers. Williams scored 9 against Stanford last Saturday. Ward, Schulte, Miller, Babiar, Jariga, just a sophomore. He's one of the best young linemen in the country, number 71, and Brewster the tight end. First and 10 from the 32-yard line. It is Williams who gets out to the 39. Second and 7.
Football News had Jim Jariga rated the best offensive lineman as a freshman in college football last year. 240, 250 pounds.
He was very highly recruited, highly touted coming out of high school in Wheaton, Illinois, and winds up basically staying at home. Second down and 3. And it's Rooks who has the first down to the 45-yard line. It'll be interesting to see, Lee, which direction Mike White will go. He went to California for the quick fix early on, and that's worked. But now he'd like to recruit a little closer to home to some of his key stars from
First, let's amplify a bit on what we were just talking about with Jim Juriga, number 71. That's where they've been getting most of the yards, is off that right side. Both with Beverly and Rooks running right in behind number 71, Jim Juriga. Come back to me on the point you were just developing.
First down and 10 from the 46, and the pass is complete to the 49-yard line to Tim Brewster.
You were saying, you were asking
about the recruiting, the fact that Mike White has been going to California, and he's turned the program around, but he'd like to recruit Illinois, and he felt, I think it was White's feeling that if he could turn the program around, the kids in Illinois would start thinking about going to Illinois again, the Blue Chippers.
He gets the JC guys initially, develops a winning program, then automatically he will start to get some of the great players within the state of Illinois, and it's worked.
2nd and 7, set up the screen, and it's Rooks who gets buried by James Morrissey. He had no trouble reading that one. 22 starters for the Illini. California is the most represented state with 7, and 6 from the state of Illinois. Third down and 11 from the 45-yard line. Illinois leading 14-3. Trudeau finds Williams, and he has the first down to the 40-yard line of Michigan State. Dave Williams, Brother Oliver, was a star at Illinois, was drafted by the Bears and was waived by the Bears, in fact, just last week.
David Williams, who caught 9 passes in the ball game last week against Stanford and was effective in the first half, running a square in route at about 14 yards. He scored on that very play last week against Stanford.
First down for the Illini at the 40-yard line. Keep it on the ground and give it to Beverly, and he's wrapped up back in the line of scrimmage for a loss of 2 or 3 by Thomas Tyree, number 28.
And others.
There he is, Tyree, out of Fort Wayne, Indiana. Good high jumper. He high jumped 6'9"3/4 in the Big Ten track meet.
Wow.
David Williams, number 1, splitting out to the left along with Brookins, both wide left, and they send Beverly wide right. And second down and 12 from the 42-yard line. Trudeau is intercepted at the 35-yard line by Parker, and he may go all the way. He will. Inside the 20, the 10, touchdown for Parker. Return for a fellow who had the biggest day of his athletic life last week in South Bend, and then he comes back today for a touchdown.
You talk about a guy being on a roll. Free safety Phil Parker, number 32, steps right in there and takes this ball 72 yards for a Spartan touchdown. He was Sports Illustrated's National Player of the Week defensively for his efforts last week against Notre Dame, and he's picking up right where he left off.
Ralph Mosienko's extra point attempt is good, and that is exactly what the Spartans needed. They needed a big play. 10:36 remaining, third period, and the Spartans back by only 4 now. Phil Parker, who intercepted 2 last week that set up 2 touchdowns. A 72-yard interception return for a touch here. He has returned 3 interceptions, 129 yards, a 43-yard average thus far this season.
That is Trudeau's second pass interception today, and it could be a costly one. It's the type of play that completely turns the momentum of a football game around, because the Spartans were down, they were floundering, They were having all kinds of problems. If this can carry over now to their offensive unit, we got ourselves a football game.
14-10 as Mosienko will kick off. The breeze has died down a bit, but it's still at his back. And as usual, he will boot this one through the end zone. That's almost an automatic for him. So the Illini will take over again at the 20-yard line. From a low angle now, the interception by Parker.
It appeared that Trudeau was trying to throw that same square-in route to his split end, number 1, David Williams. And watch as free safety Phil Parker, number 32, steps right in there. And now he's got a clear path and a convoy of blockers as he goes 72 yards for a touchdown for the Spartans, his 3rd interception in the past 2 weeks.
10 minutes and 36 seconds remaining, 3rd quarter, 1st and 10, and Trudeau will put it up again as they start this drive. Out to Rooks, and he is hit at the 23-yard line. He turned what would have been no gain into a gain of about 3. He stopped by Terry Lewis, 2nd and 7.
That is one of the fundamental plays in a ball control pass offense, is the swing pass or fast developing screen out in the left flat.
2nd down and 7. The Michigan State offense still has not been on the field here in the 3rd quarter. Trudeau to Brewster, out past the 40 to the 48-yard line. The big tight end at 6'4", 230 pounds. A definite pro prospect. A flag is down on the play. He was stopped by Terry Lewis.
Brewster on one of his favorite routes. It's the crossing or deep curl in over the middle. Now watch the touch and timing on this route and the hand-eye coordination by Brewster as he catches the ball in traffic, holds on, and carries 3 tacklers for additional yardage.
And a personal foul will be tacked on in addition against Michigan State. Couldn't hear him, but it's a personal foul against Kelly Quinn, number 93. Take another look here.
We have a dead ball personal foul right now. Let's watch. I didn't see it.
Not in that shot. On 1st down, going deep for Williams is Trudeau from the 48-yard line, and it's incomplete. In fact, the call on the penalty now, offsetting penalties, personal fouls against Kelly Quinn and Bob Stowe, who were mixing it up. So at the 48-yard line, it is 2nd down and 10 now.
Trudeau, another good day passing, 15 of 21 right now for 149 yards, and he has thrown 1 touchdown pass, that to Mitchell Brookins just before the half.
2nd and 10. Numbers for Trudeau, his day reflected there. Trudeau goes over the middle. The pass is high and incomplete. Intended for the tight end, Tim Brewster. 3rd down and 10. 9 minutes and 39 seconds remaining in the 3rd period.
I was talking to Brewster yesterday. He told me his favorite route is what they call Y option. And that means that when he goes downfield, he has the option to either curl in or curl out, depending on the coverage. That's where he's caught most of his passes. He is the most prolific tight end receiver that the Illini have ever had. He caught 46 last year during the regular season, and then 6 more in the Liberty Bowl.
3rd and 10 from the 48-yard line. Trudeau in trouble. Dropped back at the 40-yard line. Kelly Quinn, number 93. He gets the sack.
Number 93, Kelly Quinn, coming right up the chute, and he just ropes Jack Trudeau from behind, and Trudeau can't get away, can't regain his balance as he slips forward and then eventually hits the turf.
Illini will kick. Line of scrimmage is a 40. Bobby Moore straps back deep. Chris Sigourney to do the punting for Illinois. Into the breeze. Morse at the 18. And about a 10-yard run back to the 28-yard line. And the Spartans will take over there. Their offense comes onto the field for the first time in this half. It's 14-10, Illinois. Cup at Spartan Stadium, East Lansing, Michigan. The Michigan State Spartans with the ball at their own 28-yard line, 1st and 10. 8 minutes, 46 seconds remaining, third quarter. Illinois on top, 14-10, and a new quarterback, the third of the day, Clark Brown, a sophomore, in there for Michigan State. And whistle sounded before Butler takes the give. It could be a delay of game call as he takes it out to the 30-yard line. We'll wait for the call as you look at Brown, who is from Portage, Michigan.
Right tackle, coach, right tackle.
Illegal procedure is to call the right tackle. You can hear him say. And so that'll cost him 5. The report on Kolb now is that he has a broken right hand, the backup quarterback. And he lost Urema to a shoulder injury. The initial report we get now from the bench is that Kolb has somehow suffered a broken right hand, and thus you have Clark Brown, who did not letter as a freshman last year, 6'3", 203-pounder from Portage, Michigan, the quarterback. On 1st and 15 from the 22-yard line, he goes to the air and throws a strike out to the 30 to Bobby Morse.
How about that?
Nice
One thing about Clark Brown, he is no stranger to passing the football. More to come on this.
As you look at the offensive line, Lark is the big man, number 76, who bench presses 550 pounds.
Put both of us up there. And then some.
Second down, 7 from the 31-yard line. Brown, this timing is nobody saw it, and Illinois recovers. Mark Butkus recovered. He was trying to pitch the ball to Carl Butler.
And Butler was running off tackle as if he were taking a slant. Obvious mix-up in the backfield.
So with their number 3 quarterback in there, things like this are prone to occur.
Watch what Brown does. He starts to pitch the ball right here, thinking that his fullback, Butler, is going to be going wide. Butler is running as if he's going to take a slant handoff, and so there's a mix-up there, and Butkus bounces on the loose football.
At the 29-yard line now, Trudeau scrambling and is sacked again. Good penetration, and that's Kelly Quinn, who just had a sack on the last series, who gets another one. And he's slow in getting up, number 93. Loss of 3. Second down, 13. Illinois on top. There's Butkus.
Butkus and Thorpe are quite a tandem of defensive tackles for the Illini in their 4-3 defense.
Second and long. Looking for Brewster. And he's very lucky that was incomplete. There are 5 green jerseys in that area and 1 white jersey, and he tried to get it into Brewster. Injudicious decision.
Brewster all alone this time on his crossing route. You see what looked like it might be a pickoff play right there. And Trudeau should never have thrown this ball. James Morrissey, number 40, is in there, and others for the Michigan State Spartans. You saw what was a very controversial play during the week. Let's talk about the pickoffs in a moment.
Third down and 13. And we've got a penalty marker thrown on the far side. Initial indication is against Illinois. Dead ball foul. Offside or encroachment, your preference against Illinois.
George Perlis said during the week, it was kind of a news item, that Mike White uses more pick plays than any coach in college football.
Encroachment on the offense.
Of course, the pickoff play is a basketball play, and technically it's illegal. But if you don't make contact, if you get these crossing patterns going and no contact is made, you can run them to death, and Mike White does.
Third down and 17 for the Illini at the 36-yard line. Trudeau pressured again, drops the football, recovers. The Illini have it, but they were pushed back by the Spartans. It's Alan Moore and Warren Lester that applied the double pressure.
Trudeau getting more of that same pressure as he starts to throw, pulls the ball back down. Now watch right there, it's stripped away, fumble right there. Trudeau gets back on it.
So back to the 44. The original line of scrimmage was the 28-yard line. Thus it is 4th down and 26. And Sigourney will do the punting. He'll probably try to put it in the corner if he can. To the near side. And he put it in the corner all right, but it's not a very good kick. Kicks it out of bounds as they line it up at the 25-yard line. 6 minutes and 15 seconds remaining in the third quarter at East Lansing, Michigan.
Chevy.
And the North American Boxing Championships will be preceding Wide World of Sports. Coverage of that event that took place in Houston, Texas. That's at 4 Eastern, and then Wide World at 5 o'clock Eastern time. And a reminder, those of you who tuned in late, the America's Cup race scheduled to be held today, postponed because of the conditions. They should be doing it tomorrow unless Liberty calls for a lay day. On first down, it is Butler who gets loose. He gets into Illinois territory, and Butler has sent this crowd into a frenzy as Clint Haynes makes the tackle. So things were looking terrible for Michigan State earlier, but the touchdown by Parker, now this one by Butler, they're in good shape.
Carl Butler, number 49, on one of the definitive plays in the one-back offense. Makes a great cut right there, back into the open field, and he is running wild right now. 98 yards last week against Notre Dame, and how the momentum of this football game has changed here in the second half.
Michigan State 1st and 10 at the Illinois 38-yard line. This is out the belly. 4 or 5 yards to the 33. Let's watch Butler again from ground level.
We talked about how similar this is to the Pittsburgh Steeler offense that George Perlis has brought in. How many times have you seen Franco Harris on that same exact play where he starts in, goes wide, then back in again, cuts, and in the open field shows why he was so effective last week. Look at those yards. 12 rushes now for 71 yards.
Almost 6 yards a carry. 2nd down, 5 with the ball at the 33-yard line. Butler again to the outside. A flag is thrown, and another one goes down after he gets 3 to the 30-yard line. We have 5 minutes, 11 seconds remaining in the third period. Illinois leading Michigan State 14-10. Again, Michigan State has lost Urema, its starting quarterback, Kolb, its backup quarterback. Illegal use of the hands is the call against Michigan State, and a personal foul against Illinois, so we have offsetting penalties. Michigan State has also lost their best defensive player, the linebacker Carl Banks. So they're playing with a short deck, but they're down by only 4. And they're at the Illini 34-yard line.
But the short deck has a hot hand. And the quarterback is Clark Brown, who is, I started to say, he's no stranger to passing, Al. As a high school performer at Portage Northern High School, he threw for more than 4,000 career yards and a total of 30 touchdowns in his career. So he knows a little something about putting it up.
We're back where we started, 2nd down and 5 after the offsetting penalties from the 34-yard line. Brown gives it to Altobelli. Just inside the 30. It'll be 3rd down and a yard or 2. Clark Brown, born in Kalamazoo in September of 1963. His mother has bowled professionally. 3rd down and 2. Butler does not get it. Carl Butler putting his head down. He tried to tunnel his way through. And he's a yard and a half shy.
Watch the tandem of defensive tackles, Thorpe and Butkus, who we've been talking about, how they close down and shut off the play here. 250 pounds, 260 pounds, Thorpe and Butkus in the middle of that 4-3 defense.
On fourth down, they're going to go to the field goal attempt with Mosienko. Wind at his back, spotted at the 37, so a 47-yard attempt at an angle. He kicked one 61 yards against Illinois last year. The kick is long enough, but it is wide to the left. So Mosienko comes up short on a 4th down and 1 situation. They opt for 3 and don't get that. And we have 3:35 to go in the period. Illinois leading 14-10. Three minutes and 35 seconds remaining in the third quarter. 14-10. Interesting call there. As you see, there's Carl Banks, and he is done for the day, obviously. Went out with a sprained left knee. We saw him limp off near the end of the first period, so he is gone. They've lost their quarterback. They've lost their first and second team quarterbacks and Banks. As you look at George Perlis, his team's defense in right now, the Illini have it at the 30-yard line, 1st down and 10. Jack Trudeau hands the ball to Thomas Rooks, and Rooks, nice gain out to the 38-yard line. And Lee, let's get your impressions of the call by Perlis to opt for the field goal on 4th and 1 instead of going for the 1st down.
I think that's one that George would like to take back. Mosienko missing his first field goal of the year, but I think it should have never been kicked in the first place. I think with the kind of energy that he had going and with the way his running attack was going, that he should have gone for the 1st down there on 4th down and kept it going and gone for the 6th. That could have, if they'd scored the touchdown, they'd be up 17-14.
Instead, they're down 14-10, and on 2nd down and short yardage, it is Rooks picking up the 1st down. A reminder that coming up next Saturday for you, we'll have regional coverage of college football, and one of the games that will be televised is Arizona against California, so check your local listings. It starts at 3:30 Eastern time.
Cliff Gilbert be putting it up.
You know, one thing that Perlis mentioned yesterday is that he wants the run backs to come out to about the 30-yard line, his own 30. Then if he can move to the other team's 30, he figures he's got a lock 3 with Mosienko. 1st down from the 43-yard line is Trudeau. Throws deep for Williams, who was open momentarily and then has it knocked away. Nate Hanna had been beaten on the play, but was able to recover as the pass started to hang and bats it away.
David Williams is open early as he runs this fade route. Now, the ball should be put up right now. Instead, Trudeau holds it too long. It's underthrown by about 10 yards. Had that ball been put out there, now there again, you talk about a Dave Wilson or a Tony Eason from the last 2 years. You were talking about guys who had rockets for arms. Now, Trudeau is not that type of passer. He's more of a touch and timing passer, and he didn't have the strength to get it out there.
2nd down and 10. He's also throwing into the breeze here. They set up the screen for Rooks, who's chased by Morrissey. He can't get him. And then finally knocked out of bounds at the 39-yard line by Terry Lewis.
But he comes right back with a play that was so effective for them in the first half. It's that slow developing screen. Free safety Parker, number 32, all alone coming up there. We talked about how effective he's been the last 2 weeks. But that slow developing screenplay has been very effective. And again, the play before set it up because he went deep. He came back looking like he was going to throw to his right, then dropped it off in the left flat, and the screen was there.
1st and 10 from the 39-yard line. It's Beverly who has a 1st down. He gets to the 25-yard line. Chris Pavillon sprung him with a nice block. The offensive right guard.
Well, we talked earlier how Dwight Beverly has a lot of confidence. He has said that he likes Billy Sims and he feels that his style is a lot like Billy Sims of the Detroit Lions. I saw a little bit of that right then.
1st and 10 from the 26-yard line. Trudeau to Brewster. Gets about 5 yards. 2 minutes and 20 seconds remaining in the third quarter.
I mentioned earlier how they call this play Y option. Brewster just goes down and he either goes inside or outside according to coverage. You see that? He saw where the coverage was and he just hooked up. He found that open area right there, and that has been a play that has been extremely effective for Brewster.
2nd down and 5 with the ball at the 22-yard line. Under 2 minutes to play, third period. Illinois leading Michigan State 14-10. It's Thomas Rooks. Should have enough for the first down. Stopped by Warren Lester, number 82. And it is a first down for the Illini. So a good sustained drive here for Illinois.
So they've got almost exactly 100 yards rushing now on the day and about 170 yards passing. So the balance story that we've been talking about all day is in evidence, but they'd like to catch up a little bit more with the run.
First down for Illinois at the 16-yard line. And to the 11-yard line goes Ray Wilson, who's a freshman. Mike White very high on Wilson, who last week saw some action against Stanford. First carry for him today, though. Out of Anderson, Indiana.
Mike White feels that down the road somewhere, this guy is going to be the type of back that will really excite people in Champaign.
Wisconsin and Michigan are underway, and the Badgers get on the board first. 2nd down and 5 with the ball at the 11-yard line. Rooks, the fullback, taking it to the 8. Very big play coming up for the State defense now. It'll be 3rd down and a little bit more than 2.
Once again running that right side behind number 71, Jim Juriga, who we've talked about. Good-looking sophomore. Probably going to be an All-American before he's through. Maybe this year.
Juriga from Wheaton, Illinois. Clock running down 18, 17, 16 seconds remaining in the period. 3rd down and a long 2. And a mix-up in the backfield. It'll be 4th down. Trudeau turning to try to hand the ball off, and it's Doug Rogers right there to end the play.
Trudeau wanted to bootleg this out of here, and look what happens. Just as he's starting to roll to his left, he bounces right into Dwight Beverly, his running back, and he never gets untracked as number 71. Doug Rogers puts the hit on him.
4th down and a field goal situation coming up when we start the 4th period. So Michigan State, a team that has worked very hard in the offseason, they hold up 4 fingers, meaning the 4th quarter is ours. That's the way they feel, and they've won each of their first 2 games in the 4th. We'll find out about this one. Illinois leading 14-10 after 3. Chris White, Mike White's son, will attempt a field goal. The ball will be spotted just inside the 20-yard line. So a 30-yard attempt at an angle. He is 2 for 6 this season in field goal attempts, and this one is good. So on 4th down, Chris White boots one through, and 4 seconds into the 4th quarter at East Lansing, Michigan. The Illini on top by 7 again. It is Illinois 17, Michigan State 10.
The story of the 3rd quarter statistically, total yards now, the Illini really dominating. It started out close. They have gradually gained, and also they had only had the ball 4 minutes thinking back in the 1st quarter. Look at the time of possession statistic. Now the bottom line, the Illini have been in control since, actually, with the exception of the interception, since Dave Urema went down.
17-10. Illinois on top as Chris White kicks off. Larry Jackson, a wide receiver by trade, is the deep man. Michigan State in this 4th period will be going into the wind. Jackson's going to come out from 4 yards deep. 10, 20, dropped at the 25-yard line.
Jackson
First and 10. That's today alone. You've got Urema gone for the day. Banks gone for the day. Cole, broken right-hand backup quarterback. Bunch, the other linebacker who is outstanding. I say the other, all three actually, Bunch, Banks, and Morrissey are outstanding in their own right.
He has a sprained left ankle, so they're in bad shape. All that today.
First down for Michigan State with Brown, the quarterback, from the 26. Bobby Morse. Morse's father played at Notre Dame. So did his brother. His sister is a cheerleader here at Michigan State. This program, an exclusive presentation of ABC Sports. We'll pause 5 seconds to allow our local stations to identify themselves.
This is WXYZ TV, Channel 7, Detroit.
Spartan Stadium, 75,000 plus looking on. Illinois on top 17-10, fourth period. Al Michaels, Lee Grosskopf with you. Clock is running with 14 minutes and 13 seconds remaining in the game. It is second down and 8 for Michigan State at the 27-yard line. Butler to the short side, 30, 35, 40, 42-yard line. Stopped by John Ayers, the quarterback. And he is slow in getting up.
Tackled by John Ayers, 15 Ayers.
Carl Butler on what has been his most effective play today. It's the Franco Harris play where he starts on a slant off left tackle, then takes it wide. And watch number 15, John Ayers, the man who wound up on top of the football in the end zone last week against Stanford following a blocked punt, as he makes an open field tackle. And that may be another very costly injury for the Spartans.
Think about the people they've lost today. Urema, the quarterback, who played every down. Watch the hit now.
Watch the hit again right now as Ayers comes up.
And it's Archie Carter who lands on top of him. 84, 6'2", 220-pounder. So Butler needs the attention. Time out on the field. The Illini by 7, 13:57 to go.
This is like a night.
As we come back, Butler ran off the field under his own power. It wasn't a jog off, it was a run off. There he is. He appears to be basically okay. They're working on him. He's out for the moment, but it doesn't look like he'll be out very much longer.
Not a limp off, not a jog off, a sprint off.
Absolutely. He wants back in there, but at the moment it's Altobelli, who is in the backfield on first and 10 from the 43-yard line, and it's Aaron Roberts getting the call. We talked about Roberts earlier. Coming into this season, he was the #1 running back, but he's been hurt. So they've been going with Morris and Altobelli and Butler, of course. Now Roberts is back in, but that's only his second carry today.
But he wants some time. He wants some time in that backfield. He would have played last week, but Perlis has a policy that if you're not ready to practice by Wednesday, you don't play on Saturday. I think it's a pretty good policy.
Second down and 11 from the 41-yard line. Spartans trail by 7. Brown goes down at the 32-yard line. Mark Butkus with the sack, and let's go to New York now. Get a word from Jim Lampley.
Al, here in New York, we are tracking UCLA-Nebraska at Lincoln. After Nebraska fumbled the ball away on its first drive, UCLA drove the field. Frank Cephas going in from a yard out. Nebraska has just fumbled it away again, and UCLA leads 7-0. Al?
Well, that's interesting because Nebraska's been going crazy, of course. Don't have to remind anybody in Minnesota what happened last week. 84 points for Nebraska against the Gophers. Tom Osborne apologized for running it up. Love is never having to say you're sorry, though, isn't it?
That's a terrific line. You could probably build a novel around that.
Probably. Might even see if I can get that copyrighted. 12:26 to go in the game. Penalty call coming up here. Delay of the game is the call against Michigan State.
Of course, down the road, Al, we're going to be choosing outstanding players from both teams on behalf of Chevrolet, something we've been doing for many years now. And it's really kind of a tough day. There isn't any one person that has stood out more than anyone else at this point. a hero may emerge here in the fourth quarter.
Third down and 25 for Michigan State. From the 27-yard line, they need to get to the Illini 48. Brown goes over the middle, too high. Off the fingers of Butch Roll, number 89, the tight end, running a post pattern.
Clark Brown angry with himself, the young sophomore who we've been talking about, the third-string quarterback who came on when Urema and Kolb went down. Straight drop back action that time, and he had Roll out there. He just threw it about 2 feet too high.
Moshenko will kick into the wind. Ralph Moshenko, who was born in West Germany and has lived in the United States since he was 9 months old. Here they come, but he gets the kick away, and it's a low kick. Line drive fielded at the 31 by Don Passmore. And he runs it back out to the 39-yard line. So the Illini with the wind at their backs will have a 1st and 10 with 12:06 to go in the game. Illinois 17, Michigan State 10. And today's America's Cup race, we'll have a report on it, but we can tell you that the race has been postponed unless Liberty calls for a late day tomorrow. We will have the 7th and concluding race tomorrow, and you'll see coverage within our coverage of Sunday afternoon baseball tomorrow at 2 Eastern time on ABC. 1st and 10 for the Illini from the 39-yard line. And up and over the top goes Dwight Beverly, who fumbles. Let's wait for the official to call it. He may have been down. It's 2nd down. No fumble.
Fumble? No fumble. Dwight Beverly out of the tailback position, something that the Illini don't use a lot of. Not too much I formation. He goes up and over, loses the ball right there, but the whistle had already blown, so as you say, no fumble.
Ball on the 41.
Ball at the 41-yard line. It's 2nd down, called at 8. Trudeau, who's gone all the way, rolling under a lot of pressure, sacked at the 36-yard line. Dave Wolf was chasing him along with Kelly Quinn. Quinn has made his mark, number 93, 6'2", 220-pound junior out of Stone Mountain, Georgia.
Brewster under a lot of coverage, and guess who? Number 32, Phil Parker, who probably is the hero of the day so far, certainly the hero last week. And that's why Trudeau couldn't release the football.
Ball on the 36.
3rd down and 13 at the 36-yard line. Both Brookins and Williams are split wide to the right. And it's Brookins who makes the catch at the 41, but he is tackled at the 47, and they are shy by 2 yards of picking up a 1st down as Nate Hanna makes the tackle, and Illinois will have to punt.
That's not a good call on 3rd and that kind of passing yardage. You should always throw the ball upfield at least as far as the required distance. I say at least. Usually it's a good idea to go about 4 yards further in case the receiver has to come back for the ball. So that's not really typical Mike White football right there. He is, we've talked about this, touched the lives of many great quarterbacks, and we'll have more to say on that.
Chris Sigourney to do the punting. Bobby Morris is the deep man. Good, high, long kick. And it will bounce into the end zone. So a touchback, and the Spartans will start their next drive from the 20-yard line after a 53-yard boot. 9 minutes and 48 seconds remaining in the game. It's the Illini leading by 7. Oh, we'll keep an eye on that one the rest of the day. 10-0. UCLA on top there. Here 17-10 Illini. 4th period, 9 minutes 48 seconds remaining in the game. And the Spartans have it at their own 20-yard line with the number 3 quarterback Clark Brown giving it to Butler. He's back in the game. Out to the 23. Butler shaken up on the last series. Got some attention, and he's back in there.
I think he just had his bell rung, because as soon as he regained his consciousness or whatever, maybe the wind knocked out of him, he came sprinting off the field and obviously wanted to get back in the game.
Urema gone for the day, 3 out of 6. Kolb gone for the day, 1 out of 5. Brown 1 out of 2. Butler now goes out.
Not your basic aerial circus.
No. Altobelli is the running back in this set. 2nd down and 7. Brown looking for Turner, and he has him at the 44-yard line, but he is out of bounds.
Brown was just a little late with this ball because Turner breaks off his cut to the sideline, and watch, in college football, 1 foot is all that is necessary to be in bounds, but as you see, he's going to land with that 1 foot out of bounds and then the other right there. Good call by the official. He was right there.
So it's 3rd down and 7 for Michigan State at the 23-yard line. Butler and Morris are the running backs. They have John Hurt wide right. Darrell Turner is split to the left. Looking toward Turner, doesn't have a chance. There's Brady, Ed Brady, a senior from Morris, Illinois. Big sack.
You can figure with a 3rd-string quarterback in there that he's going to see lots of blitzing. And so Ed Brady, the linebacker, came right through the chute and jumped right on Clark Brown, number 23, the 3rd-string quarterback.
8 minutes and 35 seconds remaining in the game as Michigan State is forced to punt. Don Passmore is back to receive at his own 40. Mosienko kicking into the wind, and it's a low kick and a short kick, and fielded by the up back at the 43-yard line of Randy Grant. Illinois has it at that point at the Spartan 43-yard line. Now to update you, UCLA leading Nebraska in Lincoln 10-0. North Carolina has an 18-point lead over William and Mary. Oklahoma leads Tulsa by 3 touchdowns already. In the 3rd quarter, it's the Mountaineers leading Boston College 27-10. And in the 3rd period, Maryland with a 3-point lead over Pitt. First down from the 43-yard line, and it's Thomas Rooks getting 5 or so as Illinois would like to keep it on the ground. Penn State 17-3 in the 3rd period, leading Temple. NC State with a 1-point lead in the 3rd period there, and Michigan has tied the game at Madison 7-all. Central leading Western by 11. On 2nd down and 5, it is Dwight Beverly for a first down. He gets to the 31-yard line. Other scores, Ohio U leading by 14. Northern Illinois with a 10-point lead. Bowling Green leading Miami of Ohio. First and 10. From the 32-yard line, it is Rooks inside the 30 to the 29. Sophomore from St. Louis, Missouri, stopped by James Morrissey.
3 straight runs along the right side there. They've been mostly running off right tackle. Good slashing runs by Rooks and Beverly. We talked about how Mike White has touched the lives of so many great quarterbacks. Morton, Plunkett, Barilla, Bartkowski, Fred Vistana, Vince Ferragamo, the late Joe Roth, and of course most recently Dave Wilson and Tony Eason. Rich Campbell among the missing there, also included.
2nd and 7, and the pass is complete to Cam Benson, out of bounds at the 20-yard line, and a first down.
We asked Mike White yesterday who Trudeau most reminded him of, and he said probably Fred Vistana, who is currently the quarterback for the Oakland Invaders and was the most accurate passer in the United States Football League this last season. Vistana has remained good friends with Mike White through the years. In fact, he helped Mike White recruit Tony Eason.
First down from the 20-yard line, and it's Beverly. He works his way to the 12. You know, we started to talk before about the report that White had been offered the 49er job. There was a report to that effect on the West Coast recently when Walsh was thinking about retiring after last season. Mike wanted to clear that up. He said that was not the case at all. It was not offered the job. Bill and I talked about a number of things, is the way Mike put it. And among other things, what White did was try to tell Bill that he shouldn't get out of coaching at this point.
Exactly.
2nd down and 2 from the 12-yard line. The Illini driving. They lead by 7, and it's Rooks. There may have been a whistle before the play got off. Flags going down.
Dead ball. Ball start.
Ball starts. They'll forget the play against Illinois. 6:17 to go.
White told us yesterday that the 3 coaches who have both influenced his coaching philosophy are Bill Walsh, John Ralston, and a basketball coach, Pete Newell. Joe Kapp said the same thing last year. Interesting.
Pete Newell coaching a national championship team at Cal and still active. I was reading about Pete in USA Today recently.
Ball. Ball start. Offense.
Running a camp in Southern California. Several NBA stars coming back to Pete to hone their skills. 2nd down and 6 at the 16-yard line. Dumps it off for Beverly, but he gets no blocking, and he gets spun down at the 18-yard line.
You know what happened? Beverly outran his screen. If he had stayed inside and turned upfield, the screen was there for him.
So the ball will be spotted at the 18, and there's the matchup on Monday night. Green Bay against the Giants from Giants Stadium in the Meadowlands at 9 Eastern time.
I've just got to say it. Those teams don't like each other very much.
Never have.
Goes back a long ways.
Sort of like Texas and Arkansas. Hogs and Horns never liked each other either.
Big shootout.
3rd down and 8 from the 18-yard line. Trudeau dropping back. And throwing out of the end zone. Throwing that one away. Golden, Scott Golden, 86, the intended receiver, but well covered. So now you've got young Chris White, the coach's son, the sophomore, coming in with a wind at his back to attempt a very important field goal. The Illini are on top by 7 points. This one will be spotted at the 25-yard line at an angle, 35-yard kick from the far hash mark.
Crucial play right here.
Ken Cruz, who's the backup quarterback, will make the spot. And the kick is good. Well, no nepotism involved there. Chris has done the job today.
Like his father, he was a basketball player and decided he wanted to be a kicker in football, so he makes his 2nd field goal. That could be the one that locks it up for the Illini.
He's now 4 out of 8 this season and a 10-point advantage for Illinois. 5 minutes and 11 seconds remaining in the game. Illinois on top by a score of 20-10. And of course, if Illinois holds on and wins this game, everybody will go home from East Lansing grumbling and wondering what would have happened had Urema been in there.
Had Banks been in there.
Yep.
Had a whole bunch of guys been in there. This has been a coach's nightmare for George Perlis, because I can't ever remember a game when I saw so many principal players go down in one afternoon.
He's lost his number 1 and number 2 quarterbacks. His outstanding defensive player, Carl Banks, one of the best ever here at Michigan State, according to the folks who have been here through the years. Another good linebacker in Bunch.
2nd string quarterback went down and is probably lost for a long time now. They got to, you figure they're going to be going with a 3rd string quarterback for at least half the season.
As they begin Big Ten play today, but still, despite all of the problems, they are in the game. It is 20-10 Illinois with 5 minutes and 11 seconds remaining as White kicks off, and it's Jackson fielding. He'll come out from 2 yards deep. 10, 15, and out of bounds at the 22-yard line.
That's an excellent point you made, because they feel that they are a 4th quarter team. They have this 4-finger tradition. They hold up 4 fingers, and that means that the 4th quarter is ours, and it's symbolic of their winter conditioning program. They have a strength coach that stresses conditioning, And they feel with all the work that they did during the winter that they're going to be a superior team in the fourth quarter.
Well, they've won each of their first 2 games in the fourth quarter against Colorado and Notre Dame, and they've outscored the opposition 24-12 in the fourth quarter thus far this season. Brown gets dropped again back at the 16-yard line. It's Mark Butkus, number 53, who is doing Uncle Dick very proud. Dick probably said, "You don't have a good day, I'll come in there and bite your neck off."
Mark Butkus really doing a good job. Watch how he throws his man aside and goes right in on the quarterback. He and Thorpe have really been a tandem of tackles this afternoon.
2nd down and 15, just outside the 16-yard line. 4:20 to play in the game. And you've got another sack. Well, he dumped it off. Let's see if they're going to call it an incomplete pass. They don't see a flag.
They're calling it a sack.
Yep.
It's down. It's down on the 5-yard line.
Mike Johnson and Terry Cole were the men who stopped it. So he did dump it off, but the play was whistled dead before he released the ball.
The Illini are really putting pressure on this young quarterback. Mike Johnson, number 85. There's Terry Cole, number 91. And they're right in there on him. And they're saying, "Hello there. Welcome to the Big Ten."
3rd down and 27 from the Michigan State 5-yard line. Over the middle and incomplete. Intended for Turner. Mike Heaven was covering on the play.
Darrell Turner, number 38, running a down and in route. Watch this. Down 18 yards. Just starts to turn in, and the ball's thrown behind him. But Brown had to release in a hurry because he was under so much pressure.
A little bit of contact there. Some of the crowd wanted a call, but they didn't get it. And it's Mosienko on the back line of the end zone to kick with 3 minutes and 27 seconds remaining in the game. High floating kick, and the wind holds it up, and it's fielded at the 45-yard line by Passmore. Then he runs it back to the 44. So there's Brown, the 3rd-string quarterback. He'll have to await another chance. The Illini will try to run out the clock, leading by 10. Dave Urema went out early. Shoulder injury. He went out. Banks went out. Kolb went out. It's been that kind of a day for Michigan State, and the Illini have been able to take advantage of it, on top by a score of 20-10. 3 minutes 16 seconds remaining in the game. Michigan State has all of its timeouts remaining if they choose to use them on defense. 1st and 10 from the 43, and it's Beverly staying on the ground and trying to chew up some yardage in the clock as well as he takes it to the 40-yard line. And Illinois, if they use the clock judiciously, will take as much time as is possible between plays.
This is the time of the game when they would like to have the balance that Mike White has been talking about. He says they've lost some games they should have won because they didn't run well enough. We'll see now. We'll see how much time he can use up.
2nd down and 7 from the 40-yard line, and it's Rooks who is close to a 1st down as he gets to the 33-yard line. That may be close enough for a measurement depending on the spot. And they say it is just short of a 1st down. 3rd down and inches.
Obviously, the best balanced team that Mike White ever had was the 1975 Cal team with Chuck Muncie, the late Joe Roth, and others. They had 25-52 passing, 25-52 rushing. Unprecedented in NCAA history.
On 3rd down and inches, slithering to the outside is Rooks, and he doesn't get it. He does not get it. On 3rd and inches, they spin him back to the 34-yard line. Kelly Quinn has had a nice day, number 93 for the Spartans. There for the tackle, and there are our Chevy most valuable players. The Illinois defensive line really did a nice job today, and Don Thorpe had an outstanding afternoon. And Phil Parker ran that interception back for the only Spartan touchdown, coming off 2 big pickoffs last week, and he's our Chevy MVP for MSU.
That man, if he continues playing that way, will be an All-American this year. Thorpe certainly an All-American candidate. He was effective not only on individual tackles, but also tackles behind the line of scrimmage, which has been his specialty.
Illinois took all of the time necessary there, as Michigan State did not call a timeout. On 4th and inches, they have lined up in punt formation. And the 5 yards here really doesn't cost you anything, because if you're going to kick, you might as well take the extra 5 anyway. Gives you a better chance to put it into the corner. And then Michigan State has elected to maintain its 3 timeouts, at least at this point, use them if necessary on what they hope will be a long and very quick drive. It'll have to be with 1:18 to go. Sigourney to kick, standing at his own 45. Michigan State sending everybody, and they almost blocked it. Morris will let it bounce, and it goes into the end zone. With a marker thrown, as the ball goes into the end zone and will come out to the 20-yard line, and that ate up a total of 9 seconds, so 1:09 now remaining in the game.
Illegal batting by the kickers. Touchback.
The illegal touch is the call. And it's 1st and 10 at the 20-yard line. George Perlis looking on hopefully as Brown drops back to pass, and he throws, and it is incomplete, and it's 2nd down and 10, intended for Bobby Morse. Executive producer of ABC Sports, Roone Arledge. Coverage of today's game produced by Kurt Gotti Jr. and directed by Jim Jeanette. Technical director Les Weiss. Dick Buffington, our associate director. Bob Zinke, our unit manager. Tony Versley, technical manager. Bill Monahan, the assistant to the producer. We thank you, gang. Kelly J. Hayes back with us, spotting this year, doing a great job. And Harvey the Hoss Falukian has been handling the stats.
He's been a hoss.
He has been. Second and 10. Well, it's been that kind of a day for Mr. Brown. He either gets sacked or he sacks himself.
Well, he's been sacked 6 times totally now. For how many minus yards? Minus 49 yards.
Clock continues to run as they don't take a timeout with under 40 seconds now. 3rd and 17. And poor Brown is under a lot of pressure again. And I suppose that just adds the exclamation point. And that's Mark Butkus right there, 53. He and Thorpe have really had a terrific day for the Illini. Now 21 seconds remaining, and Michigan State will take a timeout.
Thorpe first, then Butkus. Thorpe, our Chevrolet player of the game. You know, it's nice to see 2 defensive players get the Chevy Award. In their name, $1,000 to the General Scholarship Fund on behalf of Chevrolet.
Well, you're right. Nobody really asserted themselves in this game offensively. In particular, the only Michigan State touchdown came on that 72-yard return by Parker. The Illini have not been spectacular on offense, but they did what they had to do to win this game. And they will be 2-1, as will Michigan State. But more importantly, the Illini will be 1-0 in the conference going into next week's game against Iowa. 4th down, 23 for Michigan State from the 7-yard line. So one more desperation play for the Spartans. Brown, it's complete, but well shy of the 1st down at the 15-yard line to Bobby Morris. And so Illinois will take over, and all they have to do is fall down. 16 seconds remaining in the game. So the big crowd here going home disappointed, but as we mentioned before, I'm sure everybody will be talking about, well, what might have been had Urema been there and Banks been there all day long, especially Urema, because when you lose the quarterback who's played every down for you in the first 2 games, you're in major trouble.
And it appears that Mike White will keep his record intact. He has never lost to Michigan State.
Beaten them twice in Champaign and now twice here in East Lansing.
Played for Pete Elliott back in 1957, the University of California. 3-sport letterman there. Mike still keeps himself in shape. He runs 5 miles 3 times a week. He looks great.
Trudeau puts his knee down. Unless State wants to stop it with a timeout, this one is over. There's Urema. And Perlis, who has gone down to his first loss after that tremendous win. But that happens a lot. The emotion of a big victory, and then it's difficult to come back the following week and follow it up with another win. And especially under these circumstances today, as Mike White and the Illini win it. The final score at East Lansing, Michigan. Illinois 20 and Michigan State 10. We'll be back in a moment. At Spartan Stadium in East Lansing, Michigan, the crowd is filing out. The band is providing the post-game entertainment. And the Illini are getting ready to get dressed and fly home to Champaign and do a little celebrating tonight as they open up their Big Ten season with a 20-10 victory over Michigan State. And we'll find out next week, Lee, really just how good Illinois is as they take on Iowa.
Iowa is awesome this year, but I like what Mike White is doing with his program at the University of Illinois. And I think that he showed us today that he's on the road to achieving some of the balance between his rushing and the passing game. And also he has a veteran defensive unit that really shined today.
Illinois winning it. They opened up their season by losing to Missouri, a game in which they fell behind 21-0 and just couldn't catch up. Then the win last week against Stanford. And the Illini, hopeful of another bowl bid, win this one by a score of 20-10. Al Michaels for Lee Grosscup saying so long from East Lansing, Michigan, and now to New York, and Jim Lampley.
We welcome those of you who have been watching the games between Michigan State and Illinois and North Carolina State and Virginia. We are going to take you now to Chestnut Hill, Massachusetts, where you'll be picking up West Virginia and Boston College with a little bit more than 4 minutes to go in a game which West Virginia leads 27-17. Our commentators there are Keith Jackson and Frank Broyles. And with no further ado, let's go there right now. Keith?
To get the football one more time in pretty good field position.
And they definitely have the momentum as Hostetler went into a little bit of a conservative play-it-safe series, and they're going to have to kick because of it.
The last 2 punts by Superick now, 27 and 32, is at a total of 4 kicks today, 38-50, and the 2 short ones. 4:01 to go in the game, and the Prudential College School Board will come along right after we're finished.
Boston College has lined up all 10 of their men in apparently a rushing situation to try to block the kick.
Brian Brennan is the deep man to return it. North American Boxing Championships will be coming along after the scoreboard at 4 o'clock Eastern Time. One of the people involved, of course, will be Big Tail Stevenson, the heavyweight out of Cuba, who wants one more Olympic gold medal. Superick is standing back at the 11, figures to hit it around the 14. Snap is good, pressure's on, kick is out, not particularly long. Forces Brennan, however, with a hang time to call fair catch.
Keith, now it could be fake, and remember, the kicker cannot fake. Let's see what it is.
Flag is back on the 16. It is a fake.
It is a fake. Now remember, Keith, the rule says that it is not after the play from the previous spot. They will refuse the kick, in my judgment, and take the ball. I mean, they refuse the penalty, excuse me. It's a 15-yard penalty, although that would put them way back. The new rule, fan, says that the kicker cannot fake being knocked down. Let's watch and you be the judge. You see if Super Rick is hit enough. Number 51 does fall into him. Now watch him. He falls on the ground and puts on an act.
Yeah, but the 15-yard penalty, Frank, is marked off at the point of reception.
Well, you know, I tried to read that to be sure, and I guess I'm wrong on that. I looked that up purposely.
Non-contact foul on the white. First down.
So apparently the judgment of the officials was that the West Virginia punter Suprick was faking. That is a new rule. You can't do it this year. They tacked the 15-yard penalty on after the point of reception, and Boston College is on the West Virginia 42. Flutie is... two people had a hand on him, but he still gets the pass away, and it is caught over there by number 90. And actually, I think he's trying to get the ball to Gianquinto. But Kristoforski, the fullback, was out there, and he made the catch. Now let's come back with the penalty flag one more time.
Yeah, lineman downfield. Watch the scramble, and this happens so often when the quarterback thinks he's going to run. Now watch Flutie run right up the line of scrimmage. Now number 63 goes downfield to block. He's beyond the line. That's Bardwell. And it's a 5-yard penalty and loss of down.
So Boston College now ruefully watches the 5 yards marked off against them.
Number 63 was downfield.
That's also, as Frank said, loss of down.
Ineligible receiver downfield. Loss of down. Second down.
And 15. With 3 minutes and 49 seconds to play in the game. Ball is on the 47. Moody has more time this time, but the pass is deflected in the secondary. Looked to me like number 49 might have been the man that got his hand up and batted away. Derek Christian, the linebacker.
You get a great play from a linebacker if he can deflect that pass.
Nebraska, after getting in trouble and fumbling the ball around, falling behind 10-0, has come back to take the lead in the second quarter against UCLA. Third down and 15 for Boston College. 3:37 to play in the game and a 10-point West Virginia lead. Flutie's pass good. Caught by Brennan, first down at the West Virginia 27.
He threaded a needle. Doug Flutie threaded the needle between the linebacker and the cornerback. There wasn't just a little bit of room as Scott pushes Brennan. Watch the ball right there in between two men for the first down.
Flutie now 418 yards. He's got room. Penalty flag goes down. It may be against West Virginia. End zone touchdown, Boston College. Joe Gianquinto makes the catch in the end zone. Penalty flag back upfield. It's against Boston College. It's against BC. No touchdown.
Keith, I believe it was on the Boston College fullback. Kristoforski. 10 yards. They do get the down. Well, let's see if we can tell.
Holding on the red. First down.
Number 90, Kristoforski. Now he takes them in. I don't see anything illegal with that.
No, it must have been somewhere else. They lose the touchdown. It's first down and 20, and now Flutie's got to run for his life. There are three white shirts after him, but he's going to get some help. And gets out of bounds. So he turns disaster into a couple of yards, well, quite a few yards. It's a better part of 12, maybe 13 yards.
And Keith, the West Virginia linemen are tired. Look at them. They're having a hard they're just having a hard time getting back. They're rushing the passer. That's the most wearisome part of defensive football. Some fresh people would really make a difference if they had some to put in the ball game.
Time remaining 3 minutes and 8 seconds. And it's second down as Flutie picked up 9 before he stepped out of bounds. Second and 11. He's got time. His pass is away, and the pass is incomplete. The pass intended for number 49, Carl Pelagata, in at tight end.
Pelagata is going to go down and curl, and watch Tim Agee break on the ball. Tim Agee is a very talented safety man. Number 44. Watch him. He's playing safety, playing deep. Now the ball's thrown in front. Watch him come up. Now he takes his feet out from under the receiver, and the ball goes incomplete.
Football is sitting on the 28-yard line of West Virginia. It is 3rd and 11 with 3:01 to play in the game.
And the blitz is coming.
Passes away and incomplete. Just a little too long for Joe Gianquinto, a sophomore from Winthrop, Massachusetts. Just off his fingers. It is 4th and 11.
Keith, I believe it's a little too far for a field goal, particularly into a slight wind. I believe they'll have to go for the first down.
McKenzie comes in with the play, and he motions Brennan to stay in. Now Bell's got to leave in a hurry.
Got 4 receivers in there. Took the running back out.
Lady has time. Passes away. Pass is good. And then dropped. Carl Pelagata had the ball, it appeared, but as he tumbles down, the ball comes loose.
You be the judge. He has to have possession for a normal amount of time. Let's see, a reasonable amount of time. He has it. He falls, and the ball comes out.
Looked to me like he had it.
Keith, I believe he did. The rule says if any part of his body touches the ground while he's in possession of the ball other than his feet or hands, it's completed.
2:49 as West Virginia takes over. And that ball coming loose here on 4th down. They had the yardage for the first down.
He had possession. Yeah. He had possession of it when his shoulder hit the ground. Therefore, the ball is declared dead. Nothing can happen after that. You be the judge again. Here's the tail end of the play. Does he have possession when part of his body other than his feet or his hands touch the ground? There his knee is on the ground. Does he have control of it?
Well, it's a call that might have gone either way, but nonetheless it went against him, and time remaining in the ball game, 2:42.
Bigger engine.
You know, West Virginia is going to stay on the ground as long as possible, but it'll be interesting to see if they run into a 3rd down in short situation what they'll do with the ball. They hand it off to Randolph. Randolph shakes one man over there and puts his head down and gets a first down. So with 2:37 to play in the ball game, that probably was a very big play right there, because they've got at least 4 snaps now. The Chevrolet most valuable players for West Virginia, the quarterback, and for Boston College, the quarterback, Jeff Hostetler and Doug Flutie. They were the dominant forces in this ball game, made the big plays consistently, and each of the universities will receive from Chevrolet $1,000 for their General Academic Scholarship Fund from Chevrolet in the names of those players. It's Randolph again. Isn't it kind of interesting with literally the ball game perhaps hanging in balance here in the 4th quarter? Randolph did not play at all in the first half. Didn't play very much. In fact, didn't get into the game, I don't think, until the 4th quarter. But now he is the man that they're giving the football to when they need most of all to kill the clock.
One thing that has impressed me is that Randolph is putting both hands over the football, Keith. He's not going to fumble the ball. He knows that's the only chance Boston College has is if he gives it up. He's holding it with both arms.
On 2nd down and 5 from the 44. Into the stack he goes, and very good surge. And he's close to another first down. And you're inside 2 minutes now at 1:45 and counting. And time called here to bring the chains on, and a Boston College player is down injured. That's Steve Lubisher.
Well, Don Nealon pulled a couple of great plays, I think. He first was the fake punt and run. for the touchdown, 64 yards. The scouting report probably told him that. And then the reverse in a critical situation where they ran the reverse play for a touchdown. I think those were two outstanding calls that just caught Boston College by surprise, and they worked perfectly.
And on 5 occasions, the quarterback came up with the big play on 3rd down.
And then the other side of the coin, Boston College having 2 scoring opportunities from the 1-foot line, first in the first quarter and in the 3rd quarter, and couldn't put it in.
Lubisher has an injured leg, the indication of the first down by the referee. And so West Virginia now with 1:48 is in a position pretty much to run out the clock. The West Virginia Mountaineers, they face Pittsburgh next Saturday at home in Morgantown. And that will be a very big ball game for both those teams. ABC's Wide World of Sports coming up at 5 Eastern Time today with Aaron Pryor, Alex Arguello fight. WBA World Junior Welterweight Championship bout. The America's Cup was postponed, lack of wind, and you'll also see the U.S. Weightlifting Championships.
Keith, listen to this statistic. West Virginia has 466 yards in total offense. Doug Flutie has 466 yards. Exactly. Right on the money.
Clock running again now. We're inside a minute and a half to play. Boston College with 1 timeout remaining. And it's Randolph carrying the ball, and along with Wolfley. This time it's Wolfley, the fullback. And Ron gets about 4 yards on that carry. So it would appear that it's West Virginia's ball game. So they will continue along undefeated, 4-0, facing Pitt next Saturday in Morgantown. Then after Pitt, they have Virginia Tech, and then comes Penn State, October 22.
This West Virginia team has a chance to finish right up in the top 4 or 5. If they're good enough to defeat Pittsburgh and Penn State, they'll get a major bowl bid.
Hostetler again gives it to Randolph, and the freshman running back gets loose and gets a first down as he crosses the 40 and reaches the 36 with 30 seconds to play. There's Lubisher, who was injured a moment ago for Boston College, off the field with a hurt leg. You go back to and you look at it from 2 different angles, I suppose, depending on your preference. The West Virginia defense keeping Boston College out of the end zone on 2 occasions when they had 1st and goal.
That leaves scars on the offensive team. It just demoralizes your team and fires up the opponents when you can get that done.
Lay it on the ground. And again, it's Randolph carrying the ball. And he's got yardage on it.
Don Nealon has done a great job of turning the program around.
Ball game's over. The West Virginia Mountaineers have defeated the Boston College Eagles by a score of 27-17. Game played at Alumni Stadium in Chestnut Hill, Massachusetts. Big day for Doug Flutie. But without his starting running backs, Bistek, the fullback, injured a week ago. Today, on the opening kickoff, the starting tailback Stratford was injured, and the Lions, the Eagles, came up short.